Coming live now. So, hello and welcome to everyone who can join us. A big thank you to everyone who will be here. A big thank you to Team Rewatch because I know with different time zones and changes, not everyone can get here. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Mark from book-ramble, and we were joking before the live stream. I am in Monday evening, Canada. Mark is in Tuesday morning,
I
New
am.
Zealand. But
I'm
he
calling
won't
from the
tell me.
future.
Yeah, but he won't tell me the results of the Canadian election. Hey, Noah. Hi, Ben.
There's some things you shouldn't know in advance.
And isn't that typical of a time traveling person?
Typical, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, we know, but we're not going to tell you.
Exactly.
Just
But
know you'll enjoy tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully, not as rainy as it is here.
oh, see, now here we're lucky. It's been sunny and blue skies the last couple of days. It actually warmed up today, and I could have the windows open for a bit, but it's been cool. And because it's just coming to the end of April here, I'm in southwestern Ontario. It's still a little too chilly for yard work, which makes me sad because I'm just itching to get out, seeing things green and needing to do some weeding and all. Hello, Zoe. Thank you for joining.
Yes, hello,
Um,
Zoe.
but it is still too cool. Like, we don't typically here start gardening until May the 24th when it's supposed to be the last frost is supposed to no longer be a big issue. Now, here's the other funny question because we're not only in different time zones, we're in different hemispheres. So
Are
here
we on the
it's,
same planet, Elaine? That's the thing.
well, I don't know, Mark, because here we're coming up to summer, but where is it for you?
Autumn. We're in the middle of autumn, so we're coming by May, it'll be coming into winter. Although I live in what's
Wow.
ridiculously called the winterless north. It never goes below 10 degrees. It
Mm.
does, but that's the official line, and we like to believe it.
Yeah.
But it, I think, in the 20 odd years I've lived here, it hailed once, and I'm a teacher by trade. I was in a classroom. I was trying to get the attention of these kids. Suddenly it hailed. That was it. They were out the door,
Oh, yeah.
and I let them play for 10 minutes, and then came back. They hadn't seen hail in years. So the subtropics. If you flipped us over,
Oh, wow.
we would be the equivalent of North Africa, where we are.
Okay. And see, that's the, yeah, fascinating thing. And I mean, we both kind of read different subjects, and I read quite a bit of pagan things, and I have for decades. And I always found it fascinating when they talked about the thinning of the veil during Samhain or
Samhain, yeah, yeah,
Halloween,
yeah.
as others call it. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because Halloween up here is not Halloween down there.
Hmm.
And so, what is this thinning of the veil? Does it just happen around half the planet? Because it isn't
That's interesting.
happening
Yeah.
in the southern half,
Well, what's time anyway? Does time exist? When is it noon in outer space?
right?
So we have this concept of time. In fact, time's interesting. It interests me because most people don't think, why is there 24 hours, 60 minutes, 60 seconds?
I'm
We
just
count in.
putting Xena in shot
Yeah, I
here.
can see. I can see. Yeah. We count in base 10, don't we?
Yeah.
So why? Well, the ancients didn't. They counted in base 12
Mm.
on their fingers. So on your fingers, there's three digits: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Ah.
24. So if you count on your 12 on one hand and make a note, 12,
Mm.
another 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. That's why we have that. So it's because of us. It's what we are. We just happen to
Mm,
have this amount of digits on our hands. So that's why we use those numbers. So time is relative. If it exists
yes.
at all, it's where you are.
And see, I've become very aware of that since something called the internet, because we get so caught up in, I mean, for me right now, it's just past 6 p.m. So,
Hmm.
you've had dinner and all of that. But for me, it's the evening on Monday.
Yeah.
But then the more I've talked to other people, so for Ven and Noah, who I know are in Manchester, England, it's 5 hours ahead. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 11 o'clock at night for them.
Hmm.
And that's their reality.
Yeah.
And for you, and I'm not sure where Zoe is, but for you, Mark, it's 11 a.m. in the morning.
It's 10,
Then,
10 o'clock.
okay, 10 a.m. the next day. So for you, it's morning.
Yeah. Timey-wimey.
Yeah. But for each of us, that's the reality that we're moving through,
Hmm.
right? Until we do. Oh, okay. So Zoe's in England as well. So 11. Um, but I mean, so that's the thing, right? Until we have conversations like this with other people from different parts of the world,
Hmm.
that's when you really start getting that eye opener of, wait a minute, this this time is just specific to me. Because
Yeah.
when I speak to people from the US, and most of them are on the West Coast, they're 3 hours behind me. They're
Hmm.
still in the early afternoon,
Hmm.
just had lunch. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what? Wait a minute.
It, it always tickled me about Soviet Union under Stalin. So
Mm,
Russia wraps itself around a large portion of the Earth. When the sun's coming up in Vladivostok, it's going down in St. Petersburg. Old
mm,
Stalin in Moscow, if he wanted somebody to call at 12 his time, he didn't care what time it was anywhere else. So people constantly had to get up at weird hours just to phone this guy because he weren't going to be taken for a
mm.
ride when it came to time. It was always midday for him or when he demanded it. So the thing about time is it's relative. When
Yeah.
it's 12 o'clock in Moscow isn't necessarily going to be 12 o'clock in Vladivostok. So what does that mean?
Yeah. And until I was reading, and this will be fun to see if Ven loses it or not, Paulo Coelho's Aleph. There you go, Ven, for a change. It's not the Alchemist reference. And we have this ongoing running joke between us. But in Aleph, the story is about Paulo himself. He's actually the main character, but he's going on a train across Russia.
Hmm.
And I had no idea there are 7 time zones.
Yeah.
Like, that's freaking huge.
Hmm.
I knew they were bigger only than Canada.
Yeah.
And we have, I think, 3 or maybe 4 time zones here. Hey, Jenny. But I was like, wow, that's crazy. Now, let's see if Mark knows this. Time is wibbly wobbly. Do you understand the reference?
Timey-wimey is for me. By the way, it's odd because I'm on StreamYard and it's live as we're talking, but I'm looking to where on your site and we're about 10, 15 seconds behind. I can't get my head around that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
See,
So
and
YOLO.
yeah, and I had no idea this is a Doctor Who reference.
Yeah.
It has been eons since I have watched Doctor Who. And yes, I want to know if Mark's a book murderer. Dude, did
I've
you not
replied.
see the thumbnail?
I'm a mass book murderer.
And I actually got extra book murder tools today. 48 new colored pretty pens in a lovely case.
There they
So
are.
excited.
There they are. These are the weapons of mass destruction.
Yes, a kindred for sure.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to quick check up. Hey, Pat, welcome. So we have Jenny, who is in Scotland, and we have Pat, who is in America.
Hello, Pat.
Thank you for joining. I just want to see, and we have said hello to Zoe and Van
Jenny.
and Noah. Maybe I just okay. Oh, and yeah, you'll notice the gremlins, which would be Ven, Noah, and Jenny. Many comments amongst themselves. Don't worry about it. Just let them have at it.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
you said Ven. He's in Manchester. Is that
Yes, so
correct?
is Noah.
Yeah. Sorry, Van. I won't mention Liverpool then.
And yes, a while back, when Ven and Noah were actually on my live stream, Noah named me the book murderer because I showed him an annotated book. I had
Oh yeah,
pens and
absolutely.
highlighters,
Wow.
and thus I became the book murderer.
I'm gonna upset people now. Hold on.
Just,
So
just
this,
Noah.
this, um,
Oh no, he's grabbing books.
there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I destroy books.
See, Noah, it's not just me. Mark, how dare you? Mark's the king of annotating.
Thank you, Zoe.
Awesome.
Yes.
And see, it was funny. I was having a virtual tea with my little gremlins the other day. And oh, yes, I do have it now. I could not find The Great Hunt because a group of us are doing
Oh, Jordan. Yeah.
well, Ven and I are rereading. Some are reading The Wheel of Time for the first time. And because I'm that
Randall
kind of an
thought.
asshat and I know it drives Noah insane, I wanted to
Beautiful. I
show
mean,
him.
it's a work of art. Look at that color.
Exactly. Many colors. And it's the best
Well,
way
I
to
can beat that.
remember
Hang on.
the
You show
point
me
of
up now.
view.
Just a minute. I won't let that ride. Here we go. Look at that. Green.
Oh, look at Noah. Are you seeing this?
Teal.
That's not art. Take that. Oh
It is art. Bookworm, it is art. It's beautiful. You join
no.
us.
I
Join us.
agree. And see, to me, that's how you interact and engage with what you're reading
Yeah.
and how you remember things, or it's how I remember things. It's why ebooks and audio do not work for me. I
Yeah.
just
Interesting. Yeah.
because again, I can't annotate, and it's just a different experience. It's not that it's bad, but I do enjoy using pretty colors, and I use many colors, um, and different highlighters. But that's how I remember things. Poor Noah's gonna have a cardiac event. I am. Breathe, Noah.
It makes it a living document. You are engaging. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you need permission from somebody. I said this before. This is one of the books I wrote. Get my words right. If someone
Well,
was to annotate it, I'd be delighted.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's just wallpaper. Some would say it should be wallpaper, but there you go.
So Jenny's at least Ven's close by. Now, see, Ven is only a 7-minute walk from Noah. Like literally.
Wow.
They're good.
Okay.
They're good mates and friends. So if Noah has the spaz, Ven can go save him. I can't. I'm clearly on death's door. You're so dramatic, Noah. And Pat, oh no, wallpaper. See, at least I say I crafted. Now, to give you a heads up about Thursday's video, Noah, I did while I was going crazy with my book shopping because I went to Indigo and the thrift store and I ordered books from Amazon. I went totally crazy because, a night guard is expensive and I spent half of that money on books instead. I saved the other half because I'd been saving since November, but I thought, you know what? I have been sitting on this money for ages. The last few months have been shite between dental stuff and the news. I need me some book therapy and I'm going crazy. And so I actually bought an extra copy of The Chariots of Gods by Eric von Daniken. I have one copy which is annotated like crazy. I'd unhauled it years ago and then rebought it because I just love reading different things. But this book, Noah, I bought on purpose for my part 2 book murder video because that sucker's getting chopped up. I need to cut out pictures. I need to cut out pages. I need to annotate and cut out to do other journals. So that book purchase was solely for crafting. Yes, Noah, there's a part 2. I've been talking about it for months. The first part was simply with the highlighters and markers. Part 2 is going to be chopping books and such things. Mother, you sicken me. You're supposed to be loving. Who said I was loving? You gremlins called me mother. And I've been called a mother, but I don't think people meant that I had kids with some of my other clients. But before we get too off the rails, Mark, your channel, book-ramble, amazing scenery in New Zealand as well as other books. Tell us about your channel.
So I suppose it fulfills an itch that I have. So my grandson, who lives with my wife and I, my daughter lives with us as well, his mother. I was thinking a couple of months back, well, probably a couple of years back now, that I've got no recollection of my grandfather. He died when I was young, and there's no pictures, apart from one where he's cuddling me when I'm a baby.
Oh,
And I thought, with my own children, because they grew up in the 90s, there's the odd picture, but there's nothing to show where we went, what they were thinking, talking about as we went around. And I thought I'd love to do like a memory bank that when I'm shuffled off this mortal coil, that they could look back when they're older and think, oh yeah, that's the time we went with granddad or whatever to so and so. So that was always at the back of my mind of doing, because I also do 2 other YouTube channels with a mate of mine, and
oh,
he
nice.
and he was the guy I served in the Royal Navy with back in the 80s, and he happened to go to the UK on extended holiday, and I was left here, and I felt a bit like, I don't know if you know the story of Simon and Garfunkel. One of the songs that was written, "The Only Living Boy in New York," is when Garfunkel had gone off to film Catch-22 in Mexico,
Oh,
and poor Simon felt so alone. He thought, what am I going to do? So he wrote the song. So when Steve went and we weren't recording, I thought, well, I love
yeah.
books. Why don't I talk to Air about books? He was going away, and that's how it started.
Oh,
So very
cool.
quickly, I just brought those 2 elements together, and over time, it's morphed into what it is. And I'm surprised I've got any followers at all, because I tend to go to books that aren't mainstream. I tend to go perhaps too deep for some people, but it interests me. And I thought, well, I'll always have a record of
Yeah.
these books. A lot of them are overlooked. They're deserving of recognition.
Yep, I
So that
agree.
basically it is. It's just it's like a hobby, because my work life. So back in 2019, sorry, I can see the throat's going. Like I said to you earlier,
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a cold. I need the bubbles that can clear that. Hold on. So back in 2019, I was teaching. My grandson was born in April. I
Mm,
knew that being a lone mum, my daughter would need help.
yeah.
And my 3 yearly cycle of being a teacher came to an end. And I had 9 months to finish off the first of 2 books I had as a book deal.
Mm.
So I took the time off with the intention of coming back into teaching. But of course, COVID came along. That knocked that
Oh,
out the
yeah.
window. And it's only now that they're wanting teachers to come back. And in fact, so I did the books, I had a bit of spare time, I went and worked in a local shop. That's served me and it gave time to do this. So, for instance, it's now Tuesday, but I'm on the cycle where I'm not in the shop. I do four
Mm.
days on, 4 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off.
Oh, yeah.
But as of next week, I'm back into teaching full time. So I'll be going
Oh,
back
wow.
transitioning. They contacted me. They said, we need teachers. They paid for my certification. And what would normally take months was done in 2 days. So I thought, well, I might as
Sweet.
well go back then. So there you go. So all of this has just been something to do in my spare time and
Yeah.
unforeseen circumstances. It's become what it has become. Talking to you now and other people, especially Zoe, who comments all the time on my episode, has been fantastic. There's no
Nice.
intention or idea where I'm going, a bit like Trump in that regard. So I'll just carry on and make of it what I can.
So, Jenny's wanting to know, are you excited to go back?
Yeah, well, it's what I'm trained for. And I
Mm.
love storytelling. And in the UK, I did philosophy and ethics and history. Here in New
Nice.
Zealand, they don't have philosophy and ethics, so it's social studies. I'll go back as relief to begin with. My wife is a teacher of English, she's a dean. I was a dean and head of department, so who knows? I'll just go with the flow. Whatever the universe brings on, I'll go with
Mm.
it. So what's meant to be is meant to be.
Yeah, and I mean that's the kind of cool thing. And I mean for myself, because I was in schools for 23 years as an educational assistant, and then the back got messed up and other things from that. So although I was full time for 5 years after the initial incident, by 5 years I was done. I was done physically, I was done emotionally. It was time to go. And I knew it was time to go because the universe had provided something completely unforeseen that I could never have left if not for that scenario. And I pay attention to the universe. Sometimes I miss it. I'm certainly not psychic, but everything that's led from that has brought me here. And here, I would still like to be working full time or at least part time, but it just isn't physically going to happen. Like
Mm,
when I was chatting with someone and I had to go through the different things physically, and I'm like, seriously, if I didn't have a skeleton, I would be in perfect health because everything wrong with me is skeletal degenerative. But other than that, I have zero health issues, which is frustrating because there are so many jobs available right now. But there's some damn reason the universe is not letting me fix that one scenario. So I go with the flow. I mean, it's not like my channel has gone gangbusters. Hey, Jen, thanks for joining. It's not like my channel's gone gangbusters. I mean, I'm into 3 years and just tippy toeing my way to 500. I don't have thousands and thousands of views, but there's some reason I'm here because this has been far more successful than when I was trying to have my business of reflexology and Reiki. And that, of course, I was starting to do when COVID hit. Not exactly the time to build up a client base or at home. And it's like, I don't know. I truly do believe, hey, Constance, I truly do believe the universe puts us where we're supposed to be at that
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. We may
And your
not
channel,
understand why, but it does.
well, even with the back injury, I mean, it was, and I did watch your Dark Night of the Soul video, loved it. And I do want to talk a bit about the Dark Night of the Soul as well. Because, like you said in your video, and I agree, I don't think there's just one period you go through it. I think there are different things that come up in life, and you move through it at different points, and you get a little bit farther each time. And there have been different things throughout my life that have certainly hit in that description. That 5 months with my back injury, absolutely, because the amount of nonsense and all of it. And as I sat at home, I'm like, why am I still here? Like, why is this happening? And through that, I found The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. I found Steering by Starlight by Martha Beck. And I certainly was not the same person after those 5 months than I had been prior to. And that wasn't a bad thing, because that other person had to start evolving and growing. And so I think many people go through something like that. They may call it something different. They may call it hell on earth or whatever when they're in the midst of it. But I do think, like you said in your video about it, it's an important phase that people need to move through. And
Yeah.
hopefully, you keep advancing each time it hits if you recognize what it is. I'm
Mm.
just going to turn my light on for a minute because I see it's getting a bit grayish here in the evening.
Yes, and
You will be
about
getting lighter there.
half an hour's time, you'll start getting the results through, won't you? Of the
Yeah, we
electric.
probably will, but this is a lovely distraction because I don't know if I'm trying to be hopeful, and I agree, and you and I were
Hope springs
talking.
eternal, Elaine.
It never has for me, Mark. It just somehow,
It depends how you see things, isn't it?
yes. And I am very much into, look at my little sleepy. Are you comfy in the chair? Because I would have loved to have sat there, Zena. Um, and she's got her little head right up on the arm, so it's like her little pillow, and she's got the little pillow behind her. But she's 17, bless her. So she gets well. Even our 2-year-old Tiki is spoiled, so I can't just say it. She's 17, but yeah, I agree. It's about your perspective. It's what you choose to focus on. And when I was listening to, more so than reading, Esther Hicks
Hmm.
and Law of Attraction.
Yeah.
So,
The Abrahamic code. Yeah.
yes. And I've read, some say it Creon, some say it Cryon. And I do believe in law of attraction type of things, whatever you call it, whether it's law of attraction, what your thoughts are focused on. I do think that where your mindset is what you see more and more of in the world, partly because I think you're focused on that and that's what you're looking for. And I do believe that we generate and create much of our own reality,
Hmm.
because there's all kinds of things in the world, but there are certain things that come into our radar,
Hmm.
whether it's we're looking for it, questioning it, what have you. So I don't call myself a pessimist. I call myself a realist. And when it comes to certain things, I prepare for the worst, but I hope for the best. Because then if it goes to, hooey in a handbasket, I'm ready. But if it doesn't, well, that's okay. I was ready, like that money for the night guard, and then I can go have a heyday when I change
Hmm.
my mind. So being prepared was a good thing. And Not needing it was an even better thing. But yeah, I really think our thoughts are huge, like are really huge. And I don't think people consider how much of a difference that makes, not just in their own life, but in the world overall, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I just want to see, because a few Constance agree, should probably say a dark night of the soul, and meaning as in we go through it. And you had said that as well, Mark, in your video of it's not just a one-time event necessarily,
Well, it
right? Good
depends if
luck.
you've learnt the lesson. You may have to go through certain things again
Yeah, I'm
because
a slow learner.
we're also grounded in ego, and ego can get in the way, vanity,
Oh, yeah.
and stuff like that. You talked about really timing, like it's often known as divine timing. Think about timing and what we should do with it. You know, the average lifespan is 79 to 80 years.
Mm,
It sounds a long time, doesn't it? It's 4,000 weeks. That's
mm,
it. Now I'm 60. I've gone through 3,000. I got 1,000 left. Now, of that 1,000, I've already used, I think, 16 of those this year. I'm now down to 984 weeks left. When you know that,
mm.
you imagine the following. Imagine that you're in your final week on Earth and you're laying there. What's going through your head? Are you
Yeah.
going to be thinking, if only I spent an extra hour at work? No. Would you be thinking, if only I'd made an extra dollar? Or if only I'd been a bit bigger dickhead? No, you won't be thinking any of that. You'd be thinking, well, in my case, what's next? But also, was I a good son? Was
Mm.
I a good brother, good friend, a good father, good grandfather? If you think that eventually we're not going to be here,
Yeah.
what are we going to be remembered for then? People will not remember us for the houses we lived in, or
Exactly.
the cars we drove, or the clothes we wore. We will be remembered for how we made people feel.
Yeah.
So every morning when you get up and you have a shower and you're brushing your teeth and you're looking in the mirror, think to yourself, how many weeks have I got left? What am I going to do? And how do I want to be remembered?
Mm.
That will then motivate you to potentially think positive. Because if you think, like to move this finger requires a synapse to go from my brain, that's energy.
Yeah.
Thought is energy.
Yep.
Energy doesn't stay within your body, it seeps out like it does on a battery.
Yep.
Energy attracts energy. So if you think lack,
Mm.
dark thoughts, fear, have a guess what you're going to be attracting. But if you think positive, I'm going to help someone open a door, I'll greet someone and say, oh, you're looking, well done for doing that, recognizing what they've done. Little
Yep.
things like that will make a difference. And if we all started doing that each day, then
Yep.
it will be a better place. And that's what I learned through the Dark Night of the Soul. We're not here to be, I am the great I am,
Mm.
because you're not going to be remembered for being great if that is the case. We're here to make a difference. It's not me, it's we.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so every day when you get up, you can reset. You may not have been good that following day, but now's your opportunity each day to alter that. And eventually it'll become a habit. And if we all start doing it, we won't be talking about the world as we are talking about it right now. So perhaps that is changing.
Yep.
It seems to be that, like yourself, more and more people are talking about the Dark Knight and what it means for us.
Mm.
How many weeks have you got left? What are you going to do? And how do you want to be remembered? And I think it's as simple as that.
That's a perfect way of doing it. And for a long time, and I mean, when I say long time, even before when I was in my 20s, and I know it throws people because it's just a very different way of moving through the world.
Mm.
But I have never assumed I was going to be here for a long time. And trust me, being 61 and still being here has screwed up my financial planning farther than I could ever explain.
Money's an
Because I
energy.
was, I was supposed to be out of here by 40. So why the hell the universe is still keeping me? It's like, no. But here's how I move through the world. And it isn't in weeks, it's day by day. And if I come up to something and I'm not quite sure what to do about it, or say, yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it, I ask myself, if this is the last thing I am doing in this life, and I say yes, and then I drop dead at the end of this, and then I'm up there doing a life review, am I happy with this being my last moments? And if the answer is no, then I say, no, thank you. And trust me, I have pissed some people off massively because I've said no. And I'm like, sorry, but no. And because I know in my mind, I'd either say yes out of guilt, or it just is not something that jibes with me. And so, no, this is not how I want to spend my last hour or hours on the planet.
Yeah.
And there are some people who are like, no, that sounds terrible because you're just planning on. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody knows from one day to the next. You keep assuming there's tomorrow, but there's no guarantee. So you make the most of each day. And then you wake up and you do it all over again because you just got the gift of a day to make the most of.
Yeah.
Right?
Viktor Frankl talked about that in his book Man's Search for Meaning. He survived the Holocaust in Auschwitz. And he said, how do you make sense of all that suffering? It must have meaning. And he said, ultimately, and he couldn't talk for everybody who survived, because he actually said the best of us who went through it didn't survive. He did. And he said that what you end up thinking is, be the light that others weren't. Live in hope, love, forgiveness, and gratitude. Be the light in a dark place, because you only need a little candle to dispel the darkness in a room.
Yep.
Now, others may never see that. The universe does. And you talked about off-air the Akashic Records. It's a big thing that, again, that we should be focused on, whether you accept it or not. And some people won't.
Yeah.
But there's a thing beyond us that we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. I'm not talking religion now. I'm not talking God.
Exactly.
If anything, the eye of history. Because we are only here for a certain amount of time. It's like a ship. A ship is as good as its crew. If the crew is no good, the ship suffers. You know, you can abandon the ship. Or you can get back on and work together. Well, that starts with us.
Yep.
Now, if it means you're setting a boundary that there's certain things you're going to do and you won't do, that will piss people off because they're an ego. Well, that's their issue. You don't come here to save other people. Am I my brother's keeper? No. We effectively should focus on ourselves. And if we do the right thing, by extension, then we are helping other people.
I totally agree.
And you, Elaine, you're here, despite what you're going through, because of this medium. This wasn't here 20 years ago. We couldn't have done this.
No, we couldn't have.
We've got it now. So effectively, use it. Spread what you're talking about. And it's also through books. It's reminding people that there are messages in books. And we were talking off air about this little beast.
Yes, exactly.
If you read this, you know what's happening around you right now. So we need to remind people that, because we're booktubers, there's so much wisdom in old books. Don't lose sight of it.
I entirely agree. Entirely agree. Just going to catch up on some comments. But yeah. So Jen, sending love, manifesting good results for my Canadian friends. Love from the US. Thank you so much, my friend. Law of attraction still hasn't won me the lottery. Yeah, me either, sweetie. I'm doing it wrong.
Abundance isn't money.
Absolutely agree. Oh, Ven got distracted by his adult child. Hi again. Hello. Welcome back. Great perspective. I believe that was your conversation about the dark night of the soul and what you focus on. You mean I'm not the main character after all? You're very important, Jenny. You're very important. Why am I? Oh no, why are you crying? We want you to be happy,
If only I could
honey.
drink.
But I'm glad you needed this. Oh, we have Leslie. Hello. The power of no. Absolutely. We're joined by Kat, our little belly dancer. Everyone's saying hey to Kat. Everyone's saying hey, hey. Hello. Playing nice with others, very hard sometimes. Oh, no doubt. Can the light be actual fire if folks won't turn into puppies? Now, to understand that, Mark, you would have to know Kat, who is on many lists. She lives in the US, but yes, she does have training and papers to go boom. But she has to watch how she says things.
Selfless, Jenny, not selfish. Selfless.
Yeah. No, often makes me feel, yeah. And see, there, oh, lovely, wonderful conversation. Totally resonate. Love it. And there, Mark, is the big point that is so difficult for people. And my training is counseling. I was a caseworker before I went to work as an educational assistant in schools. And, a lot of my training came in handy because, of course, the students I was assigned to had a variety of learning, behavior, emotional issues. But to try and explain to people, particularly caregivers, there is a difference between being selfish and self care.
Hmm.
And if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not refilling your tank with good, positive things, you cannot give the same amount because you don't have that much of you to give away.
Hmm.
So and a friend and I go through this constantly here in my area, and I love her to bits. And every once in a while, when things go really bad, she'll get in touch with me, or we connect just at the right time. And I'm like, you have to take a step back. Like, you have to either take a day off work, you need to do something because you can't keep burning the candle on both ends and
No,
thinking you're helping anybody
no.
because you're not.
Think of a plane. You're there
Mm,
with a child, and suddenly the oxygen things come down. What are you going to do?
yeah,
You put your own thing on first before you look to the child. Is that selfish? No,
no, because you need to take care of the child.
exactly. But you got to take care of yourself first.
And that's it. And when I used to work in custody, so I used to spend my evenings with offenders.
Yeah.
Me and 16 guys. Woohoo! Well, there was usually another staff. But in any case, in that group home, because we didn't have bars, it was literally in a house, and they went and worked in the community and such.
Hmm.
And we had this office, and you could lock the doors. It was supposed to be secure if anything happened. And of course, the rule was if something happened out, either up on the other floors or whatever, you were supposed to lock yourself in the office because you had access to the phone, you could call for help, yada yada. And I mean, again, as just saw that, didn't you, Mark? I knew Jenny would be on that one. You and 16 guys. It could be. I mean, the awesome thing about that job is I could walk anywhere in this city and I was safe because those boys were big. And because I treated them like people, not inmates,
Hmm.
they got along with me. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was safe. I mean, even if one of the residents started getting mouthy or lippy, I was safe. I didn't have to worry about running to the office because I had at least 10 other guys standing behind me going, hell no, you ain't touching her. Like, forget it. She's one of the good staff. You just back up and, cool your jets kind of thing. But I mean, again, even in that scenario, it was like if something happened, and I'm just grateful never had to make that choice, because I would have found it very hard to see something happening to any of the residents, regardless of who they were, standing behind a locked door because I could be near a phone. Or, if the other staff wasn't close enough to get in there, it just, yeah, it's that hard. But again, unless you're faced with the situation, you can't say what you're going to do. I mean, I always hated those stupid scenarios in psychology class of, here's the situation. What are you going to do? Or they would,
Oh, yeah,
even
yeah.
in high school, some of the teachers would like,
Yeah.
what would you do? And I'm like, how the hell would I know? I've never fallen off a cliff and broken my legs. Like, you're asking me stupid things. I can't fathom this because I have no point of reference. Well, you're not trying hard enough. Yeah, I am. You're asking me a stupid question. Like, who can answer this
Funnily
with
enough,
any?
that the ancients knew that because they said that your worth is not based on how you answer a question; it's the questions you ask.
You
And
should have
yet,
been
we're
with
in a
one of
world
my
where you're
teachers.
expected to know. It's like when you go for an interview. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Well, we all know what we have to say, but we don't necessarily believe it. It's all BS. And funnily enough, one of the reasons, because I'm very interested in leadership,
Mm,
one of the reasons we have such bad leaders, just look at the job advert. There it's said that a lot of CEOs tend to be sociopaths because they're told to be aggressive from the get-go.
mm,
There's a reason why a lot of in the top 50 CEOs about 10 years ago, a lot were male 6-footers. Because there's something in our brain that for some reason we think, oh, that means it's good.
mm,
But it's not. It's leadership is service leadership. Now, I'm not religious,
mm,
but you look at the Pope, the one who just died. Now, he would regularly go and kiss the feet of inmates in prisons.
mm,
That's service leadership, regardless of anything else. It's about time we promoted people in leadership that were like that, rather
mm,
than trying to, vainglory and have themselves extolled to the skies. Because it's, what are we feeding here? It's just
mm.
narcissism. So where you were not Nurse Ratchet, you were somebody in your room who treated people with respect. Well, you're going to get it back because that's what you're putting out.
Exactly. Well, and it was funny. And I'm just looking where to catch up here with the comment. Okay, with them. And it was funny because, I mean, I am what I call WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I mean, I am me, whether I'm on the camera or I'm off the camera. Well, okay, my mouth is a bit, I think Ven called it salty in some conversations, but I keep that out of my videos for obvious reasons. But beyond that, I am me. And it was funny because I remember some of my coworkers when I was working with residents, and they're like, how have you never gotten the snot beaten out of you? Because I was the same with the residents as I was with staff. I mean, if I had something to say to you, I would say it. And I would say the same to the residents. If you have a problem with me, then tell me to my face. Don't be some gutless little wonder and go snivel and whine to other people. You come talk to me. And so, if I had something to say and I didn't care what their offenses were, I didn't it was irrelevant to me. You were a human being, and if you were acting like a dick, I would tell you to your face, you're being a dick. And other people were like, ugh. And they're like, how have you never been beaten up by a resident losing their mind? And I'm like, well, let's see. I treat them like people. I don't bullshit, and they know I'm right. So if I'm right and they're pissed off, they'll go away from me for a while,
Yeah.
and then they'll come back and say they're pissed off. But that's when we have a conversation. So I'm not going to get beat up because I'm not a moron. Like, they know I'm going to say what's on my mind. And, I'm pretty clear too. If you can't handle the truth, then don't ask me the damn question, because
When I'm good, I'm good. When I'm bad, I'm better.
there's a reason my nickname there was Dragon Lady. And that wasn't my name. Dragons have been following me everywhere for a long time. But we're just going to catch up a bit here. So we have Ven. Sometimes you have to be a little selfish. The key is knowing when is the right time. I think that's important. Sometimes Noah is training folks to grow up, take responsibility. And this is why, yes, I am happy with our department, our education minister here in Ontario at the moment, who is going right through all the school boards and taking a good look at things. Hopefully, it's for the best. Sometimes saying no can be helpful to that person, and that's it. Like, what's the difference between helping versus codependency versus enabling? And, it's a fine line. You really have to know the individual. You and 16, yes, me and 16 guys. Oh, geez, were any of the 16 hot? I'm not answering that. They were clients. But to answer that, yes, I did have some coworkers who ended up losing their jobs because they did not know the line between a client and a staff member. And I always had the same idea. You don't go screw your dentist or your doctor. You don't do that with clients either. It's that simple. It's like in boxing, everyone has a plan till you get punched in the face. That could be true.
For some people, that is the plan.
Yeah. Plans are great till they run into reality and immediately fall apart. Well, and sometimes on my channel, I will say the plan was, and then there's no video that day, or something else went off the rails. Former Catholic turned atheist, did have a soft spot for Pope Francis. See, I was born and raised Catholic. Too many hypocrites. God and I took separate paths. For a long time, there was nothing. In university, I took a religious studies course as one of my electives, which is when I discovered Starhawk and pagans. And I don't really have a name for what I do anymore. I just believe there is a higher power there, whether you call it God, divinity, or any of the hundreds of other names. I think there is something more to the universe. I just don't think you have to go kill people who don't believe the way you do. That's the biggest problem I have with organized religion is, people twist it too
You're an
much.
atheist. You're an atheist who believes in God.
I'm more of a pagan. I'm the earth grounded little chickapoo, but I'm not the big W.
I'm an atheist who believes in God.
There you go.
Yeah. Because the word atheist has changed. It used to be, if you believed in the gods, the Greeks called it theos. You were theoi. But that was the gods of Olympus. So Socrates at his trial was accused of being atheoi, atheist. He did not give due reference to the Greek gods. It's not that he didn't believe in them. He said there's more important things.
Yeah.
He also was done for corrupting the youth of Athens. But atheoi was what the early Christians for the first 3 centuries were called. Irenaeus writes that they were atheists because they did not accept the Greeks on Olympus. It's only recent that the word atheist has come to mean there's no God because of the rise of science.
Okay.
That's all it is. But if you believe that there is a power but you don't follow any religion, what word do you call yourself?
I don't call my...
We don't call you anyway because it's just a title. But I've got used to saying atheist because it gets people's attention basically.
Yeah. See, the closest I would come to a name is pagan because
Yeah,
it
same
covers the
possible.
umbrella.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean I'm a Satanist, although in Canada, Church of Satan is a legal religion, whereas
mm.
Wicca, I don't think they have that standard
Wicca
yet.
is legal in the UK, and so is Occan.
Yeah, I don't know if Wicca is
Hedge
here in
witches.
Canada
Yeah.
or not, but yeah, pagan is the closest I come, or earth spirituality, because I do believe there are forces. I believe in plants and animals being sentient, all that type of thing. So Kat's just saying, yeah, she has to behave at work because she needs a job. Talk like a sailor off here. Not all the time. Oh, nearly as bad as me. I don't think so, Ven. Nice try. Yes, I do drop the odd F bomb here and there. Love that you all talk
It's
like a
it's an
sailor.
Anglo-Saxon word. It's a great one.
It's everyone here. You're all in the wrong country. Never say. Ven, have you met yourself? Dude, I have heard some of the language. I'm
Yeah,
innocent and a
Liverpool.
delicate flower. Oh, geez, Noah. Yet y'all are nicer than me when I'm angry, making up new cusses because F just doesn't cut it. Yeah, sometimes. See, and I'll be honest, it does irritate me that F for some people is every other word because it has so taken the oomph out of when you drop that word.
Did you know it's well known by psychologists that if you are in pain by using a cuss word like fuck, fornicating under cardinal knowledge, it lessens the pain.
Really
Does something to the
interesting.
brain. Yeah, yeah.
See, there's one I didn't know. Don't really get angry. Don't enjoy being angry. You are a very mild little soul, Noah. I will give you that. But dude, you embarrass and blush easily, which is why we adore you. Noah, neither you or Ven are innocent. More innocent than Ven. Ven is laughing. As a Scot, Noah, I love it. Can be funny when I'm uncaffeinated or angry. Don't like being angry, but I work with idiots. They get promoted for it. Read a lot at work keeps me out of jail. Jenny and her brownies. That's why I always need a munchie stash. And I notice if I haven't eaten that whole hangry thing and your mood, and because I live with chronic pain, I definitely notice the difference if it's an achy day. And those are days that I'm grateful I don't have to be at work and don't have to try and be nice or interact usually
Mm.
with people, because it's just the smallest thing that other days I wouldn't even bat an eyelash. But on those crazy pain days when things are just ouch and dismal, it's like, you said what? Smart thinking. Yes, you need to have munchies. Don't touch my carbs. Take you out with my fork. Noah is saying Wicca is legal in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I knew a
Jedi,
Wicca a hedge witch.
yeah. Jedi is recognized in Australia.
It is in the UK. They did. I think it was the
Really?
census of 2001, if I remember. It became the students, especially in universities, thought because they could communicate text, and they said if everyone puts down Jedi, they would have to recognize it, and they did.
Jedi and Sith here too. Now Ven is saying nope.
Oh, it's no longer recognized. Oh, they must have
Got
brought
it.
it in law after I left. Then okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk about that when I catch up and my little gremlins are behaving and not just spamming the chat to see if I can keep up. No, Cat, you cannot be Sith. One,
Only if you peddle in absolutes.
well, she's adorable, but she's 2 inches shorter than me. So 5'2" Sith. She needs a whole lot of
Hey,
darkness.
Yoda, how tall is he? He's not a Sith, I know, but he's a Jedi
Well,
Master.
oh no, now she's going to grab onto that. Thanks, Mark. You'll need yellow eyes, cat. Occasionally drop an F. Do it every day in real life.
Is the yellow eyes? Have I missed something there? Is that referencing something?
Jenny, explain yellow eyes, because Sith were red eyes.
I knew a girl 20 odd years ago who had yellow eyes. She had to wear tinted
Really?
sunglasses. Yeah, it was something to do. She'd had some deficiency or something, and she took her
Oh.
glasses off, and they were bright yellow. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, now Kat is saying they tested something on Mythbusters. Love the acronym.
That might
Kat,
be using F words when you're in pain.
oh, possibly. Lies, yes. No, always with the lies. Yellow eyes. I do need new glasses. Maybe I can get colored lenses. My darkness is just condensed. See, I'm bigger than Yoda.
Most people are.
I was gonna say, pretty much everybody is, honey. Guessing helps with pain. And we're caught up.
My mom's 4'11". She's a bit like Empress Palpatine, I must admit. I mean, she's got when she gives you the look, you yes, Mum, what do you like me to do?
Is it Roxette? She's got the look.
Absolutely, she invented it.
Now, you were saying, because were you born in the United Kingdom, Mark?
Yes, in Leicester, right. And I lived 1 mile in the UK, which happened to be the furthest you can get from any part of the sea, which is why I joined the Navy when I was 16. The furthest I could get away from home, I think.
Oh, wow. I'm just going to go to. There you go, Kat. Someone shorter than you. Our cute little Jen is 5'1" and plenty of darkness.
I saw your video in New Orleans. You didn't. I wouldn't say you were 5'1".
And I
Just go
wouldn't
straight.
say dark. She's so cute. Same as Kat. They're both adorable. The full head taller than my mom. Fight my dad, no problem. Despite his being 6 foot. Yikes.
My mum had this ability. My dad's stepdad is huge, and he's a big fella. He's an old
Yeah.
plasterer. But my mum could threaten to give him a horse bite. You know when you got that, and he would literally cave every time. What? And she just has to do this.
See, it's all in the look and your whole persona. And I
And
mean,
previous pain, I think.
well, no, see, I never touched my clients, but like I say, compared, and I mean, we had male staff, and some of them were tall, but I still ended up having the least problem in the houses. And they'd be like looking at me like, how? And I'm like, I don't know. Apparently, I have this look on my face when I get pissed, and I can like clear a room. It's like awesome.
You're not like Jack Black then in the School of Rock. I've touched your children, and I know they've touched me.
Yeah, yeah, no. Mom said you stopped growing when you hit perfection. Then told me it took too long for me compared to her and my sister. Dad learned early on, got drunk, said the wrong thing, Mom once. Woke up on the floor the next day, never drunk again.
Yeah.
Needs to share that. Oh, take care, Van. Thanks for
Have
joining.
happy dreams about Liverpool.
What happens in New Orleans stays in New Orleans. I didn't share everything. Yeah, it's probably for the best. I remember on your birthday live stream, you had a good time there, and yeah, probably best that wasn't on the video.
French ward.
But yeah, so Mark, you were born in England. So how does someone from England end up in New Zealand?
Oh, blimey, I hope you don't. Well, sit back then. This will be a long one. So I joined the Navy at 16. And interesting, my uncle was in the Navy. And I remember when. So I don't remember my first 8 years because of a violent father. And I shut it out.
Yeah.
So my mum left him on Valentine's Day when I was 8.
Mm.
And she was lucky. My stepfather came into our lives. He's the one I referenced you as being tall. He
Right.
was he was sent by God, must have been, because he changed everything.
Nice.
But there must have been something in the past, because when I joined the Navy and got onto my first ship when I was 17, no, I would have been a bit older, 18. I met my future wife. We've been married 35 years now. I met her in
Awesome.
1983, a week before I deployed for 9 months out of the Far East. We kept in touch on various ships she came on, and she said, "You know, I've noticed something about sailors. A lot of them come from broken backgrounds, and I think it's we were running to sea for stability. We wanted something that a lot of them didn't have in their background.
Right. Well, you'd
So
have
I
that structure in the Navy, right? The
Oh,
training and
absolutely, yeah, and
yeah.
camaraderie, and you could trust people, because
Mm.
if they did fall into the world of fuckery, then you knew that they were going to suffer for it, and it wouldn't be you
Right.
doing it; it would be the Navy.
Yeah.
And what happened was, 1982, Argentina decided they wanted Las Malvinas, the Falklands, back,
Right, right. I remember,
and
and Margaret Thatcher was in charge then.
exactly, yeah, yeah. Where there is discord, and we were steaming off Morocco. We were doing an exercise. I was on a frigate called HMS Aurora, and it was anti-submarine. And we all started. We got the alert. In fact, I received the message because I was a radio operator. It
Right.
came in. I had to tell the captain. So there's a flash here from Whitehall, and effectively within 2 hours, all the ships had turned around and we started steaming south. We
Right.
had to go fairly slow because we had to go at the speed of the tankers for petrol
Mm.
and fuel. So they sent out a message saying, "Look, do you want to go?" Because we weren't going to go south. We were anti-submarine. There weren't enough Argentinian submarines. So they said, "We're going to go out to the Gulf," because Iran and Iraq in the Persian Gulf were fighting each other. And the
Right.
ships, as part of the commitment to NATO, Britain agreed to have two ships there, always in patrol at the Strait of Hormuz. So that's where we
Mm.
were going. But they said, "Does anybody want to transfer over to ships going south?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." And I transferred over to the Coventry, like Jack's Day, this line across two ships. I was bedding down, suddenly got tapped on the shoulder and said, "You've got to go back." And the ship, by that stage, was over the horizon. I
Right.
said, "Why is that?" I said, "You're not old enough. You're only 17. We're not going to send down a 17-year-old just in case." So, ironically, I was on a warship at 17, but not old enough to die. So, there you go. So, I ended back on the Aurora, went out the Gulf, but we didn't have enough ships.
Right.
New Zealand, that only had two ships, agreed to send a ship at a time to steam alongside us. So we got to know the HMNZS Waikato and the Canterbury. As a goodwill to say thank you for that, when the Falklands finished, the following year, 83, we came out here. And
Mm.
I, for the first time, came to New Zealand. And there's something about this place. As soon as I saw it, I thought, this is amazing. I'd love to live here. And it never left my head. In
Yeah.
fact, Steve, who we served on the Charybdis together, he's also in New Zealand. He said he remembers having that conversation. I'm going to live out there one day. Well, it took 20 odd years. I left the Navy, demobbed, went into publishing. Then at 33, I went to university.
Mm.
My wife was a nurse. She paid my way through uni. When I had finished, I paid her way through. We both got teachers. We did a round the world trip in 2006, brought our kids down here. And on the way back, we said, "Should we move out here? They're after teachers." Got back within 6 months. We moved here 2007. Never been back.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
there's a lot of us like here. They call us the fifth wave of immigrants. We're about seven now. We're the fifth wave. We're the Lord of the Ringers. I used to think because they thought I was a hobbit. I mean, I've got hairy feet. And no, it was because we were the generation that had seen those movies and then oofed it down here.
Ah.
And that's why I'm here. And I'm now a citizen. I've been here coming up to 20 years now.
Sweet. So, did your children grow up in New Zealand then?
No, my two children were born in the UK. My youngest was born in 96, so was coming up to 11. And when we moved out here, she settled in really well, but my son, who was 15, 16, We came out on a 3-year visa. Halfway
Mm,
through, he said, "Look, I want to go back," because all his mates were back in Plymouth. So we were both
yeah.
teaching, and I said to the wife, I said, "Look, I'll resign. You take him back because of the way our the school system worked." She took him back, got him back into Plymouth, came back. He was there with his grandmother. I resigned to go back early because none of us had jobs. The
Oh.
night before I was to leave New Zealand, he phoned up and said, "I don't like it here. I want to come back." Nothing like timing, but
Well, thank goodness it was the night before and not the night
exactly. Well,
after.
it might as well be, and that's only
See,
because
the
of the time lag.
universe.
Yeah, but it happened for a reason. We both went there and we realised actually home is here. So
Yeah.
we were ping pong poms, and that's quite common. They reckon
Mm,
at least 70% of the people who originally come over, because you're a long way from anywhere,
yeah.
they will go back, and of the ones that go back, at least 50% come back again.
Well,
So
because
if
they're remembering what it was like, but then things change
exactly,
between.
yeah, that's right. I mean, even in the 2 years here, you see the difference when you go back.
Mm,
So yeah, that's my story to a T, and it's been an interesting adventure, and I've loved it. It's even though the dark times of the dark night of the soul and so on. I know people who've come out here, they've been dependent on people who moved out with jobs. They may have lost those jobs. I remember
mm,
one guy who was English, he was in his 70s, and he said, I'd rather be poor in New Zealand than I would in the UK. That's not to knock the UK. Wonderful
mm,
place, UK. There's nowhere like it, especially on a hot summer's day. But here, you're miles from anywhere. So you tend to be out the mainstream of events that's happening elsewhere.
mm.
I mean, so often, if someone's talking about a map of the world, New Zealand's always missing. It's
Yeah.
like we've forgotten. We're the furthest you can go from the UK before you start heading back.
Mm.
So we often feel out of it. Under Ardern, Jacinda, we got to be well known because of the way we handled COVID very well. But
Yep.
it's like those things. You're slightly out the stream of life, but then you're seeing life from a distance. So you've got
Yeah.
this removed ability to, especially with the UK. It's only when you leave a country do
Mm.
you really see it for what it is.
It's true. Now, do you still have Jacinda?
No, she again because of COVID. What happened was people didn't like being told to be off the streets for so long. People would
Yeah.
have suffered because of what happened. And however well we did keeping down the numbers that died,
Mm.
and whatever, we was less in lockdown than most countries.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end, it was decided to keep going, perhaps beyond what should have been. So
Uh,
she was punished for that. Someone had to be blamed for what happened to
no.
COVID, which is why we see all these changes in governments around the world at the time.
Mm.
It's upset that boat. But no, she's not necessarily remembered fondly. She made a mistake going on to an interview and said something like, "Believe what we tell you."
Mm.
And I think she meant it well,
Yeah.
but a lot of people took it as, "Hang on, don't pull the rug over our eyes," and there was this
Yeah.
reaction against her, and it's understandable because of what we'd gone through.
No, that's a shame. Just gonna catch up. So Noah likes the accent in Liverpool. I mean, if you've ever heard the Beatles, of course, that's where they came from. Now you live in Middle Earth. It's
Mordor,
awesome.
probably.
Yeah, glad you got to the Shire. Now, is the Lord of the Rings, because they now have a theme park and everything
Yeah,
there, do they
Matamata, yeah,
not, for
yeah,
the
yeah.
Hobbit?
Well,
If
interestingly, when they did Lord of the Rings, they never kept it. They didn't assume that there would be the interest for tourists to come and see it. It's really quite isolated. You got a long journey
uh,
to get there. It was only because they had to remake it for The Hobbit that the guy who owned the land, he said, "Well, we'll keep it then." And that's a massive attraction, international attraction.
oh, yeah, no doubt. Now, is that far from you? Is it a different part
I could
of?
get there in about an hour and a half.
Oh,
In fact,
wow.
I've said at some point in the future I'll go down there and film. If they
Oh, if
let
you
me in,
do
there
a
might be double
video of that,
skates.
you'll go viral. I mean, you're
That's right.
already bigger than me, but that one will go like gangbusters,
No,
crazy.
you got more subscribers than me, Elaine.
Do I?
Mm.
But you have more hours.
That's
Because
just
I
because I
know you
work
put
harder.
your well, and it's funny because Kat and I joke as well because she and I are both 3 years, but just a few months apart on YouTube. But she has double the subs. But sometimes I end up with more views. Like it's crazy. And that, to be honest, I don't even pay attention to
Yeah,
the
that's the
analytics
key.
anymore.
You only have to have somebody have an effect on, and it could be yourself. Then you've achieved everything.
Yeah.
I had a channel that was already monetized. I stopped it. It was about ancient Rome. I've been doing it for about a year and a half.
And
It had
why'd
something
you
like,
stop it if it was monetized?
you know why? Because I set up the premise to do year by year, and it got to the point it was becoming of a slog. It was hard work. It was like it's always
Um,
the same bloody thing. It's like talking about politics now. You know,
yeah.
the Tribune of the People. They're all dickheads, and I thought this is not fun because everyone sees 1,000, 2,000 years of history of Rome and only sees certain moments like the romantic side and the
Right.
stabbings. But that's not Rome. It's thousands. It's hundreds and hundreds of years of
Mm,
grind. So I thought it was like getting up and wading through treacle.
mm.
So I was glad to finish it. I have
Yeah,
no, because if you don't enjoy it, there's no point in doing it. So
exactly. Well, and that's it, is when it isn't fun. I
mm,
mean, I don't think I'll ever be monetized, quite frankly. If I get to 500 subs, I've reached the goal because anything after that is gravy and cream.
mm,
Excuse me. But yeah, if it stops being fun, and to be honest, it's part of the reason why I have books, my nature videos, and my cat videos. I like being diverse, and I couldn't just be in one little box. It's
mm,
why, to be honest, even though I had people bugging me constantly, go to teachers college, go to teachers college. I'm like, I would lose my mind standing in front of a room doing one subject day after day
yeah,
after day.
yeah,
I love being an EA and having to deal with all the subjects in the whole building and
yeah,
working in a resource room and having kids from 8 different classes. I loved it because you never knew one class to the next.
yeah.
I couldn't do that day to day thing. But okay, so Jenny's saying loves Lord of the Rings. Yes, Jenny is our Lord of the Rings guru. Did more for New Zealand tourism than anything else. Jen saying amazing about your story, life story. Definitely why I want to visit so bad. Mordor is the US. Yes, it is.
Think about the Lord of the Rings.
Ooh,
If
nice.
if you consider it, it's pertinent today because it's talking about the little person can make great changes if they unite together and if
Yeah.
they work together against this monstrous tyranny. You only have to have a couple of brave souls who are prepared, and it's amazing who comes out of the woodwork and helps them.
Exactly.
So it's almost like a template for how we should, moving forward, be. We should work together more. You
Yep.
consider the way in which some people have been not buying from certain places, and they're starting to
Mm.
get the attention of people now. Well, that's power of citizenry. So that's what Lord of the Rings is about.
Yep, and that's an excellent point to share. So thank you for that. Yeah, I need to reread that series again soon. Um, Jen, all in for your Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit video. Need to see that. See, there you go. He'll go
Yeah,
he'll go viral. Can't wait to see New Zealand one day. Lord of the Rings, both my fave books and films. Yeah, we do both Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit marathon days. So when we do either one of those, because we have the box sets, we start with breakfast, we watch the first movie,
yes, yes,
and
that's right.
it's time for lunch. The next movie, my hubby's a napper, so he can crash for a bit. Then we get dinner and watch the last movie. So it's a whole day event. Same, bought a book on filming locations. Nice. Can't afford to travel yet. Well, you don't want to risk getting out of the country and then can't get back in, Kat. So
Yeah.
better to save for a bit. 3 years till student loans. Maybe I can start. We'll see. And here's the other. Hey, Monty, welcome. Um, that's the other upside of why I can go crazy with books now and again. My husband and I have been, well, we've been married for 37 years.
Oh,
We
lovely.
paid off our mortgage probably close to 15 years ago. So there's one less expense. Our home is paid. And so we're not wealthy by any means, but we're doing good because we just have to pay for the basics, thankfully. Jen saying Mordor's the US for real. Samwise famous quote keeps me fighting for the good. There we go. Did all 6 films back to back. Jenny, there's not enough
Wow.
hours in the day, sweetie.
And they've extended the original trilogy by about 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
They've added deleted scenes.
Hey, Lily. So Monty, I have met through the dragon tag that I did, which is awesome. I've been having so much fun watching people do the dragon tag, and Monty had been tagged by Gavin, Genre Books. So I'm loving all these new channels and people I'm meeting, but I need to start writing down the names of who I'm meeting and where, because I'm like, I'm losing track. And I love kind of, because I think, Mark, I know you commented, which is how I found your channel, but you had said you'd been watching me for a bit. And I'm not sure if we met through Philip or how.
Oh, it may have been Nicole. She did the Celtophile tag in March, and you were
Hmm,
co-hosting with her and Philip. And I had
yep.
done a couple. I said I can't do that because of my timing schedule, but I would do a couple of videos, and I think I may have reached out to you then or whatever.
Yeah, I think we had met a little before, like I said, and that's why it's nice also when people comment, because I remember your first comment and you said, I've been watching you for a bit, but this is my first comment. And I'm like, awesome. Because when I'd see returning,
Stalking.
yeah, well, not really, but when I'd see my returning viewers and it was over 100 plus, I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I wish I did. I'm so glad they're coming back. So that helps sometimes too. Didn't know a live thing was happening. Can't stay long. No worries, Monty. Glad you jumped in. Normally I'm on a Thursday, but we every once in a while hop in on other days to accommodate our guest. And we're doing time travel as Mark's on Tuesday.
Back
Love
to the
that.
Future.
Yeah, exactly. Monty saying thanks for welcoming him in. Student loans, totally regret going to school. I don't think so, Leslie, but yeah, student loans can be brutal. I'm so glad I didn't have one. Lily Eve has joined us. Hi, Leslie and Jenny. Dragon Tag is spreading around. It is. And the cool thing is, I was actually telling my husband, there are a couple of videos I've watched, and they're tarot card readers. So they've switched the tag from books to tarot decks and changed the wording a bit. It's been
Yeah.
so much fun watching those videos. And I love as people have gotten creative with it, because I never really meant for the answers to be about dragons. It was just how I could talk about one subject, but it spirals into everything else I have interests in. So I just used my dragon books to talk about, shiny book covers or hobbies and crafts. And Yeah, it's been fun watching um, people have fun with it and finding many small YouTubers, which I always enjoy as well.
I was
Theatr-
born in 1964, which is the year of the dragon.
Me too.
Yeah,
Okay, you must be near the end of the year then, because I was born in January.
August. So I'm a Leo in the year of dragon. You couldn't
That's
have a
why.
potentially more arrogant person in the room, but there you go. Hey, hey.
See, I'm the Capricorn. That's why we got the stubborn, feisty
Yeah,
dragon. So
yeah.
you're just actually a few months younger than me.
Yes, I am.
See, 64. What a year.
It's a great year, great vintage, I say.
So Jenny's saying theatrical films don't exist. Extended is the only version. Yeah, but Jenny, you read like whole series and you won't DNF like Lord love you. Kat saying same. Got to use my degree 1.5 years. Landed me a job after COVID where I make less than the folks I'm over. Aw. Folks that don't need a degree for their position. Yeah, that's the hard thing. Well, even when I got my degree in psychology, and I worked on my degree. I had my diploma before that, but yeah, it doesn't always work out as planned or increase the salary.
No,
But
it
I
won't.
enjoyed the
But you
classes.
but potentially it will increase your self-worth
Exactly.
because you've proven that you can get up to a standard through study,
Yep.
and not everything should be advocated based on money. Our true self is not based on how much we earn or how many dollars you
Yep.
have in your pocket, because that could disappear. It's what's here, and that's where I think the benefit of going to a degree. I was told I did art and design as my major, theology and philosophy as my minor, and
Nice.
I had to face people in my own family saying, "What are you doing now? You never got a job. What, do something that's going to pay well." And I said, "Well, no, because if that was the case, we'd have no art. We'd have no sculptures. We'd have no appreciation of what is the aesthetic."
Yeah.
So I think you're wealthy based on that.
Yeah, and I mean that's it. And even though I never got to use my degree in terms of corrections because my job disappeared from the province actually. And again, the universe. I had left working in the residential setting by about 3 months, maybe four, before the universe suddenly shit hit the fan. All the facilities were closed and I was working somewhere else. So my coworkers were all there while these places were shut. Take care, Jen. Glad you could join us. And I was already on working somewhere else. So it's like, whew, dodge that one just in time.
Hmm.
I have a few, oh, Jenny, oh, it's New Tuesday here too. Oh, it could be midnight.
Have you started getting the results through now of your election?
I don't know because I have to focus solely on live streams. If I was Ven, I could tell you he has usually 2 or 3 windows on the go, but I'm like I can't multitask like that. Leslie saying I feel that. I'm guessing that's not being able to use the degree and people making more. Oh, goody! Recorded my dragon tag today. Fun! Yay! Scheduled it May 6th. Looking forward to it. Jenny is a Scorpio rat. I'll have to look up what that is. No idea what I am. Either a Leo or a Virgo.
You must be on the cusp.
Leslie is a Libra, completely indecisive.
My wife's a Libra, can never make a decision, so I have to make
Is
it for her.
See, my husband's a Sagittarius, and I should start wearing it for my 50th, and he's such a sweetie pie. he got a yin and yang symbol in gold,
Yeah.
and he
Oh
put
yeah.
our birthstones on it because he's
Ah.
Sagittarius and I'm Capricorn, and we're each side of the yin and yang for sure. Like he does not decide things and stuff like that. We balance each other very well. Cat, true though, it'd be nice to not worry about money, deal with idiots daily, miss my tiny pyro room. No doubt. Great chat. So Jen is left. People saying bye to Jen. What's the future like? Wouldn't it be good to know? Oh, Jenny Soggy.
We don't tell. We don't tell you that.
Get distracted, Elaine. I dare ya. I get distracted all the time. It's like I would say to my students, and it would be hilarious when I had the pleasure of running a resource room and kids would come in and one would start, we'd be doing things and one would start with, you don't understand. I have ADHD and you're asking too much. And then everyone in the room who had been there before would just put their head down because they knew what was coming. And I would start with number one, you are never going to say that again when you enter this room. It is not an excuse. I have been working full time. I am very much like ADHD people. You learn to adapt and work in the world. So just cut the crap and let's get the work done. How can I help you? And let's get on with it. And then everyone's like, okay, she didn't blow off her ponytail. The walls are still standing. Because I'm like, do not throw these stupid labels at me. You're not a can of chicken or Campbell's soup that needs a label with letters all over you. You're a human being. What do you need? Do you need me to talk slower, talk faster? What? They're like, okay. Did 2 part-time semesters. Ooh, favorite class was racquetball. Monty. Uh-oh. Is it more? These people and their M word, which I still don't know why that makes people cringe, but apparently it's a thing. Scorpio's a water sign. Okay. Rat's a fire sign. Interesting. Rat's also the only sign that's both yin and yang. Don't know if that means I'm well balanced or theft.
Well balanced.
I'd go with the well balanced. Found a new song today by M83. Wait, I listened 10 times. Currently reading
Didn't wait then.
Gods of the Weird One. Oh, yeah, I saw that. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about that, Monty. By R.J. Barker. And Kat saying, well balanced, boring. The other could be fun if done right. Have a colleague keeps using her ADHD as an excuse, as some do. Sadly, irritates that. Yeah, use your damn alarm properly. I agree, and I mean that's it. It doesn't matter what label you have. To me, okay, if you have a name for it, you've been tested, great. That's the starting ground, not the be all and end all of how you
Yeah.
move through life type of
Yeah.
thing. But Monty has just brought up a good point. We haven't really chatted books.
Bugs, what are they?
We've talked about them a little bit as in we have booktube channels.
Yeah. I've shown a few books. Here,
So,
a book. Oh, now look. This will look. This is
oh,
one
there
about
we go.
books.
Jenny's corrected. We did
Just
mention Lord of the Rings. You showed Lord of the Rings in 1984.
so I've got this beautiful book here. I've already shown it, The Lord of the Rings. But
Nice.
look, you got to know with
Oh,
these things.
see, Noah's probably asleep now and disappeared. He'd lose his mind seeing Lord of the Rings highlighted.
I wouldn't do a folio, a first edition book. The rest, no. Come to me, little books.
Exactly. As my voice disappears. Oh, Cash is saying, never diagnosed, often called ADD by teachers. Learned how to discipline myself to limit, not take classes online. Oh, but that's a pretty copy, Mark. Oh, you've even
It won't
shocked
be when I
Jenny.
finish with it.
It's tough to get out. So, what else? What are you currently reading, Mark?
Well, I suppose it's become a bit of a joke. I'm actually got on the go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 22 books.
Nice.
Unless you want me to go through them all, there's 22 books.
Now, see, I do the same. I have no idea how many. Well,
Sorry,
let's see.
24. I missed these two, yeah.
Well, I have 20 that I need to finish from 2024. And this year, I have been terrible with starting books, but not finishing books.
Yeah.
Now, I see that 1984 is a graphic novel.
It is, yeah. So I've got the 1984 book down here. It's serendipity. I've talked about it before. I know I'd like to talk about 1984 because it's quite pertinent today.
Yeah,
And I thought what would be interesting is to generate images. So anybody's ever been to my channel, I use a lot of AR generated artwork just to bring to life the characters as I'm talking about them. Well, this
right.
does that. It just happened to be on a shelf. Fantastic. So, oh, shouldn't have showed that with a bit of
Amazing.
naughty bits. So in here,
Yeah, no naughty bits.
it's it's a mixture of stuff that's almost in the book. So there's, if you know the story, there's this book that is like illicit and that he's given it, and it goes through the
Right.
story really well. And I'm going to talk about how the artwork can take what is quite dense, even though if it's prosaic language that Orwell uses, and makes it a bit more accessible, especially for students, somebody who they see a wall of words and it does something to them. And I must admit, I got this, and the first thing I did, I'm trying to find it now, and I hope this doesn't give it away, so turn away if you don't know the ending of 1984. I went in and said, has it got the correct ending? Well, it does. Should I say what the ending is? Is that going to give things away?
Um, okay, spoiler alert, because and here's the thing, because I was actually talking about this months ago with someone else. The ending has always messed me up in whether is he dead or is he simply
Yes.
conformed?
Well, we don't know. Although the film that was made in 1959, it has an add-on. What's interesting, the film in 1959 was American, but it's set in London. But you got this faux Atlantic accent coming over. It doesn't quite work, but then the story, it's everywhere.
Right.
So Winston Smith, he goes against Big Brother. He's trying to bring it down within the organization because the world is like a loaf and the top is dissimilar to the
Yeah.
loaf. The crust is dissimilar, and he's part of the crust, but not the finest part of the crust. He's
Yeah.
the outer party, not the inner party. But the rest of the world is just like us. It was the world that Orwell would have known from the 30s. So, men having beer down the pub and they haven't got much food or work, but they're left alone. They don't have the
Yeah.
vid screens watching them. But Winston Smith is part of the party and he hates it. But right at the end, because he's indoctrinated, tortured, he turns around and he famously says, I love Big Brother.
Yeah.
So the whole message of Big Brother could be seen as nihilistic, that it wins. You're not going to basically break it down. Although throughout there's these references that you can't change the yard that's in here. So we don't know. It's ambiguous.
Yeah.
Does he really
Yeah.
mean it? And in the film, there's this great scene where he's being tortured electronically, and some guy is opening up. How many fingers do I have? Do I have 5 fingers? Oh, no, I only have 4. And eventually he says 5. But you don't know if he's a bit like Julia, the
Yeah.
character who knows how to pretend but doesn't really believe it. So, yeah, it's very interesting for that one reason. And
Yeah.
it's the world in which we live today. Newspeak, doublethink, all these things are being used as though it's
Yeah.
written in the book. And it's amazing. But do we have to believe it? Do the people who follow it just to make money
Mm.
really believe it? So, pertinent questions to ask, and it's fascinating. Beautifully done. Beautifully
Yeah.
done as a piece.
Nice. It's gonna. That is gorgeous.
Oh, the
Monty.
Bakshi. Was it the first one? The Bakshi. Not
Yeah.
Bakshi.
First exposure
Yeah.
animated films. Didn't pick up the books well after Pete Jackson films just a few years ago. Didn't hit me like they should have. Hmm. Story was with me all my life. And I mean, that's it. Even if you haven't read the books, you know Lord of the Rings, either from the movies or people have
Yeah.
talked about it, right?
We do. We know. Well, do we?
Cracking through.
There's an argument until you've read it yourself, you don't know it because you don't
Hmm.
know whether you are in fact being given the true meaning. It's such a big book, Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
There's a lot of moving parts. I mean,
Yeah.
even Tolkien himself said, don't read anything into it. A lot of people read in that it mirrors the First World War. There's a motive there about the
Hmm.
Allies fighting against the Central Powers, and he said, no, there's none of that. It was just a story. And you can read into stuff that's not there, but
Yeah.
likewise, you can miss stuff that is there because you're not picking it up. So if somebody tells you their interpretation, it's like my brother-in-law. He doesn't see red and green. He's
Hmm.
colorblind. He doesn't. I'm looking out now and I'm seeing green trees,
Right.
uh, green palms. He'll see grey. Now, if he
Mm.
explained to me what I'm seeing, it's not
Yeah.
going to be as I understood it, but it's as he understands it. And that's the same with anything. Anyone tells you
Yeah.
what a book's like, even us as booktubers talking about a book, it's only subjective. It's not necessarily as you would read it. So
Yeah.
I think you have to read it yourself.
Well, and a perfect example of that. Oh, sorry, dry tickle again. A perfect example of that is Akatar, A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Yeah,
Is never going to be my favorite book, and I do not like spicy reads. It's just nothing I'm interested in. But I did read 5 of the books out of the series, which it's only up to 5 now. I'm not reading the next one. I've learned about the characters what I have to. I could skip at least 100 pages because I don't read the spicy bits. I'm old enough. I don't need to know any of that. But there is a lot there in terms of character development, post traumatic stress, relationships, love versus obsession.
yeah,
And some of this is obsession, not a big woohoo romance. But to discuss that, I also have to put those spicy bits aside because there is more to that series and it is worth the read. But of course, the way I'm going to describe that is based on my experience of the book. And going into the next 4 books, I already had that bias of spice. And it's like, is this going to be a book of any substance?
mm,
So, what you're saying is very true. I have my opinion of it, but that's all it is,
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah,
And, you know, it's not, and I know I don't think it should be a banned book or taken off library shelves, and no other adult should be allowed to read it. And, that's what gets me with this whole banned book thing is how does someone else get to decide what's appropriate for me to read? I need to read it to decide for myself.
yeah. That's right. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting topic with the banned books. A lot of countries ban books that we have openly, we can accessible. When I was growing up in the 60s, Lady Chatterley's Lover was banned,
Mm.
and so was A Clockwork Orange.
Mm.
But then what began to happen, and the reason being because I've never read Lady Chatterley's Lover, but I believe there's the C word in it, and that's
Oh, is
what
that
got it
what?
banned. what people were doing is that they were going over the ferry to France to get copies, and they were selling them in English to come back.
Of
So it's
course.
like, are we no longer, or did they think that we were not capable? We would be corrupted because of the C word? See you next Tuesday? And I don't think so. I mean, and that word, goes back to ancient Rome, and it was not
Mm,
seen. It was not seen as a swear word. It's like certain words change. I always love.
mm-hmm.
I love the idea of. I taught a lesson once. It was the end of the school year, and what happens here is called EOTC, Education Outside the Classroom. So the way that Britain and New Zealand have gone, they've brought in this national curriculum. So you have to teach certain things, and it's taking away the ability as of old to go out and play in the woods. So they give them this week at the end of the year, but some people can't afford to go off rock climbing or go for a
Mm.
trip. So they have
Yep.
to stay in the school. Well, someone's got to be the warm body in the room to keep an eye on them.
Mm.
So I happened to I was doing paperwork, said, oh, can you go and take this class? There's a film they're going to watch, and just sit there, put it on. And it was Hanna-Barbera's The Flintstones.
Okay, yep.
And they watched it, a couple of episodes, blah, 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 as well as something else. And when it finished, they're all getting up, packing off, walking off to the next room to get bored. And someone came up to me and said, I didn't realise that Fred and Barney were homosexuals. I said, what? What are you talking about? He said, yeah, because the yabba do time, abba time, have a gay old time. All they understood of the word gay was homosexual. Although now it means, oh, that's stupid, that is.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, oh, blimey, the Gay
Excuse me.
Gordons, and I was feeling particularly gay this morning. No wonder they chortle. It's like the meaning of words change. Well, that completely alters your perception of
Yep.
anything. So we've got to remember that what you're reading isn't going to be the same what other people are reading.
Exactly. And I actually mentioned that, I think it was through my live stream last week when I started talking about Nostradamus. And this is why I find it hilarious when there are people who go, ooh, Nostradamus predicted this and this and this, and they pull out of the quatrains and slap it together.
Hmm.
And I'm like, he was back in, is it the 1500s?
It would have been, yeah.
And words that he would have used to say things are not the words we're using
No,
now. And
no.
your example of the word gay is a perfect example. And since we're just a few months apart, when we went to school, the word gay meant happy, cheerful. I mean, it was in English works we were talking about, all of that.
Hmm.
That's what gay meant.
Hmm.
Then, somewhere along the line, it got taken to mean men and their sexual orientation,
But never women.
but never women. They had to have their own word.
Hmm.
And then, somewhere from that, it got twisted to mean something very negative and
Hmm.
like the complete opposite of what it
Yeah,
meant.
yeah.
And it used to aggravate me when I worked in high school. And, I'd hear students, whether they were coming from class or whatever, or they had to do an assignment. Oh, that's so gay. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you're happy about it, but you look miserable. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what
yeah.
the word meant, because I'm pretty sure you're not referring to something else with that.
Hmm.
You don't understand. And I'm like, I do. I just get irritated how these words get twisted. And I'm not
Hmm.
ancient, but this is what the word used to mean. And you keep using it back asswards.
And I wonder that when it comes to being banned, it's banned by someone. So the film A Clockwork Orange was banned in Britain from the time it was made in the 70s until the early to mid 1990s. Some guy who was the censor for films could arbitrarily decide this is not something that we should be consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, really? We're children then. But what happens is there's always a pushback. Someone makes the decision what's being banned. And it may be because they don't understand the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age, people have moved on. So one of the wonderful things about language in the UK occurred in the late 60s.
Mm.
So I was remember listening to Ian McKellen, and he was talking about as a young man, if he in the 60s he couldn't gone to prison because he's homosexual.
Yeah.
So they had to invent a language called Polari that they would use, that would use code words that no one else listening would understand. And
Mm.
this was used in a program called Round the Horn. It was a BBC, it may have been a BBC radio thing where it would look a lot of double entendres. And one of the words was, he was good, he was boner. Oh, he was boner, he was. And two of the guys would talk in a very high pitched voice, and they would
Yeah.
give different meaning. And you hear the audience laughing, but I don't think they understood what they were referring to. Said, "Oh, this
Mm.
man came in. He was butch. He was boner. He was," and they're all laughing, but they think they understand it, but I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So there's always a pushback to being banned because someone will go elsewhere secretively and do something
Mm.
else, and that's the delicious irony. By banning things, you're actually creating more. So
Well, that's it. All the hype. I mean, well, no, I would have read Akatar, but only because it's a fun way to bug Ven about this character Feyre. And then I've actually read the whole stupid series, and he's only still read book 1 of 5. But yeah, that's the thing that I find is with all these banned books, because they're banned, suddenly everyone's talking about them and people want to read them. They're
yeah,
actually having the opposite
yeah,
effect.
exactly,
But
exactly.
just going to catch up a bit. And I know
Please
Monty
do.
has said goodbye and Leslie, but I had typed in C's. So Kat's saying books are one of the few things she can focus on if they're interesting. Other stuff, I go down rabbit holes or 20 directions. Leslie has left us. Jenny saying, oddly enough, the reading helps calm her ADHD. So, again, it's finding that what you're interested in and can focus on. So, maneuvering that. Remember reading a few chapters of Hobbit, 5th grade, tried the books, coming out a little later, saying bye to Leslie. Same Jenny. Till I get a word I don't know, grab my phone, look it up. Depends what it is. Start looking up other stuff. So trying to determine a word when you're reading and then gone. Some folks definitely do. Whatever we were chatting about at that point may have been thoughts or opinions. 1984, I agree. It was a fantastic read. It creeped me out both times, but made me angry, frustrating time to read it. Yeah, same as Handmaid's Tale, to be honest. Zoe is saying, Mark, it is the C word in Lady Chatterley's Lover,
Yeah,
is why it was banned. I've never read that either. One of our 4 fave words here in Scotland, no word has more oomph or
the other one
impact.
being shite.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's why I say the F bomb did have oomph until it became part of everyday language. And now
Yeah,
it's like no one knows you're pissed unless they look at your face and you say the F bomb because people use it every other word. Monty has had to run.
Monty's out
Happy
of the building.
reading.
He's left the building.
Whoosh. Folks saying bye, and then Jenny saying 1984 was interesting till it became reality. Well, see, I'm glad you're comfy, princess. Oh, they can't see you, sweetie. Look, you moved out of camera. Um, See, the other one I would say is The Handmaid's Tale. Also fits with that Margaret Atwood, and I just reread that a few years ago. And that's creepy, especially because it takes place in the United States.
Yeah,
And it has to,
theocracy.
yeah, and it has to do with there's a nuclear event, then a disease. Yes, Kitty Zena. See, we do with Kat. She has reading sprints on Fridays, and we get to see her puppies and her cat JB. Zena is not normally on screen, but today she was even filming my big book haul with me. So she's like, "Mom, how come Tiki and Panther are always getting attention? I need me some film time." But yeah, the Handmaid's Tale with the plastic money, and then suddenly women can't get access to their funds, and it's crazy. Have
But
you
it's
read it, Mark?
useful that no, it's not. My wife has.
Mm.
I I'm basically bathing in things that I in the past would have ignored. So Virginia Woolf, for instance, I'm reading, and Pride and Prejudice, and I
Ah,
think a lot of it is because I realised I just need to make a little adjustment to the way I look at things. So knowing that these books exist, like 1984, is quite useful because they're there as warnings, or we can take a lot from them. In fact, one of the great things I took was from the Batman movie.
mm.
So it's this. I just wrote this out. It's
Okay,
back.
yep.
Is it back to front? It says slaughter,
Slaughter. Yep.
but you only have to make a little alteration.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's just the way you see things. So yeah, we can see it as, oh, woe is me, this is happening, or, oh, it's interesting to know, make sure it doesn't. Everything, it seems to me, and this is something about 1984 does so well. Everything is designed to get us agitated,
Yeah.
distracted. And it's because people know how to manipulate people.
Mm.
And the reason being is because we naturally want to make sense of this world. So think about the London Underground. I don't know if you know of the London Underground map. Beautiful piece of artwork from the 1930s. Straight
Ooh.
lines from one station to the other, and they're all exactly the same distance. That's not reality. In fact, you can go onto Google and type in the London Underground map as it really is, and you'll be
Right.
shocked. It's like someone's thrown spaghetti at the wall. No one could make sense of that. It would make us agitated. So we
Yeah.
have to create something that's simplistic, easy to understand, and get our head round. Well, people know this. So they throw at us stuff that will
Mm.
make us slightly discombobulated, on edge, because it serves their purpose to do so. What we need to know is, well, really, is to recognize that that's what's happening. And that's where books and reading comes in,
Yeah.
because it will enable you to say, I've read about this before, I can recognize this. And that really is what we need to do. And I watched a program, it was a video of Stephen Fry, who is well known in Britain for being a
Mm.
comedy person and wonderful. He's written books. He's done, I think his most recent one is Greek Myth. And he was interviewed by BBC, a young reporter, and
Mm.
got talking about Facebook. And he said, this is Stephen Fry talking. He said, when Facebook came out and they realized they could monetize it and make a
Mm.
lot of money from this, they looked at the code and thought, how do we get people to engage?
Right.
And they looked at the code and they put in two words: maximum engagement. Well, how do you get people engaged? Worry, doubt, fear, agitation. It's like when you're
Mm.
going down the street and you see an accident, you can't stop looking, even though your heart's racing. Now,
Yeah.
imagine if they put maximum virtue.
Mm.
We would have a different scape of mediascape now. So all this is done deliberately.
Mm.
All this throwing of stuff to get our attention, clicks, deliberately embellishing what is real,
Yeah.
making sure that we don't quite get what's happening. It's like this vague sense of things are happening over here, but then they're happening over here. Books will help us make sense of that.
Yeah. Well, and I think that ties in with what we were saying about the news. I think before we came on is it's not really journalism, it's fear mongering and nonsense. And they never really finish a story.
No.
They start with one, then we're on to the next thing, the next thing, the next, but they never fully follow a story. And Kat's saying here, and I'm pretty sure this is in reference to 1984, that you were saying in terms of lessons or be aware, and she's saying if only it wasn't you if it only it was used as warning instead of a guide, as in
Yeah.
some people using it as a playbook, right?
Hmm.
We usually get 1.5 in. Not sure what that one is, Kat. Makes the news just sound like magic illusionism. Well, see, and Mark, again, you would know um, what news used to be like, as in you had a story. And I'm going to use the example of Jim Jones
Yeah.
because it
Georgetown.
ties, yeah, it ties in with current events, quite frankly. I mean, we didn't have the internet. There was no Facebook. There was none of that immediate images the next day. It was weeks before the horrors of what happened there unfolded. And there's all the jokes of the Kool-Aid. I've sadly made some myself. And then more and more you realize they didn't all willingly drink the Kool-Aid. Most of them were shot. And you know, but it was a long time before a lot of that came out and all the horrific details, and certainly not all the graphic photos like you see now immediately after an event. And it does make me wonder how desensitized some people have become, because
Yeah.
it's no
Yeah.
longer shocking or horrific. It's just another soundbite on
Yeah.
social media or the news, or wherever they get their stuff that they get it from. It's, oh, a bomb went off. Oh, this happened, that happened. I mean, because it's so immediate and constant,
Hmm.
and there's just so much always coming at you of this latest development, that happening, this, that, and the other thing is, I mean, it's no wonder that mental illness, I to be honest, the term mental health still irritates me, because personally, I have never in my life got out of bed in the morning and went, wow, I am full of energy. I can't wait to start the day. I think I better call the doctor. There must be something wrong with me. No, when I'm up and going, this is, I just don't feel like doing things. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Things aren't meshing. I should probably call and get this figured out.
Hmm.
So I think sometimes, sadly, when people call it mental health, they don't grasp the seriousness of doing something about it, or
Yeah.
doing the work to turn things around.
You
Your
talked
thoughts?
about, yeah, you talked about, well, also mental overload. You talked about the agitation of what's
Mm.
in the news, which causes it. I've often wondered, in fact, I was talking to Steve, my mate, about this some time ago. There was a sad case of a child in Disney World who was taken by an alligator. It
Oh,
was at night. She was only about 1 or 2. He came out and grabbed her. She was running
jeez.
just ahead of the parents, and there was this big hunt. Obviously, they recovered what was remained of the child, but dead.
Yeah.
Now, that's sad. And you could argue back then it was America and we're all part of the English speaking world. You'd wanted to know about it. But we don't live in America. And a lot of stuff, like you hear of disasters
Mm.
or calamities in countries, don't affect you. So
Mm.
why are we constantly bombarded with them? It's because it's designed to unsettle. There's
Mm.
something about us that craves, oh, gossip, news, blah, blah, blah. It's always the low vibrational energy thinking. And that's all it is.
Mm.
But some people cannot distinguish
Mm.
between the stuff. So when they switch on the news and they're seeing all this like explosion in Iran and all this,
Yeah, yeah.
it's everything is designed, and it reminds me of Fahrenheit 451. It's been
See,
a
I
while
haven't
since
read that yet. It's
yeah.
on my radar, but I haven't got there yet.
So the fireman isn't to put out fires, it's to burn
Mm.
books.
Yeah.
German Nazi thing, isn't it? But it's set in a dystopian world where his wife every day sits blankly looking at walls of images and can't break away. It's like Plato's cave analogy, that we're
Mm.
chained in this cave, which is really our mind, and we can't
Yep.
distinguish that the shadows on the wall, in other words, watching TV, none of it
Right.
is really real. It may happen
Mm.
in foreign places, but it's not real to you. So
Yeah.
why do you consume it? Why the attraction? And that's the problem. Now, most people, we would like to think that adults, we can distinguish between the two, but unfortunately, I'm not sure that's the case.
Yeah.
So it's down to others to remind them, to hopefully wean them off this. You'll know, being psychologists, there's been 25 years of being hooked where we're entertaining ourselves to death.
Mm.
People just can't keep not looking at a screen. They do it at work, they do it at home.
Yeah.
So when does it end?
Well, and I know even with some of the issues with necks, and especially this younger generation, because they're always scrolling on their phones, they're
Yeah,
forever looking down.
we don't
So,
stoop.
yeah, even their posture and things, just gonna catch up a bit. So, makes the news just sound like magic illusion. Jenny made fun of Friday sprints. We almost got some in. Yes, we usually end up chit chatting and rarely get to the reading part. Feels like a never ending list of horrors. If you stop to fully process, I would be a couple months behind. Yep. Don't mock or tease, Kat. I'm offended at the accusation. Yeah, sure, Jenny. And Zoe, try to avoid the news as much as possible. Don't even have a TV anymore. We do have a TV. Rarely is it on, like maybe 2 hours in the evening, and that's about the maximum.
Yeah, I
And
never watch
it's
it.
we have DVDs and that typically watch now and again. My husband watches something on Prime. I'm maybe down to 6 8 hours at the most of TV, but like I say, it's at the moment we're watching Farscape, which we have on DVD. I haven't
Wow, that's
watched.
going back a few years now.
Yeah, I love Farscape, and we've seen it more than once. I just really enjoy the series, but I just there's nothing that interests me um, because there are only 8 episodes, and that's what they call a series. And I'm like, no. And then you don't know if it's even going to come back the next year, so I can't be bothered to invest in characters that may or may not you know, be around again in a year. So I've just gone back to reading.
Hmm.
And although for a while it's been quite a bit of fiction, and oddly enough, that's been because of the YouTube channel. But now I find I'm wanting to get back more into the nonfiction,
Yeah,
ancient cultures, different self help program, law of attraction books. So my reading is switching up a little bit again.
cool.
But
Can I just make note of the fact that I've noticed that Jenny, I think she's in Scotland, Zoe's in the UK. What time is it there now? You deserve
probably one
medals.
o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, and I was just thinking too, we're at 8, so I don't know what your schedule is like, but yes, we
Mine's
end up
fine.
chatting for a while on my live streams. They're not just an hour.
I'm fine.
Cool. And
You process any questions you may want to continue with.
well, see, I'm good, and I'm really enjoying the chat. Like I say, we haven't really got to books. So yes, 1 o'clock. If Ven didn't have to work tomorrow, he'd probably still be around because dude rarely ever sleeps. Kat, like to kind of know what's going on, just so I'm not hearing it from coworkers, Fox perspective, but only in small doses. And see, that's the other part, and I just kind of watch the little blips. Oh, Jenny's gonna, yep, head off to sleep. Bye, Jenny. Thanks for joining. I have to get up soon. Oh, no. Yes, we know. Jenny forgot her Kindle. And it was a very long day at work because she didn't have her Kindle.
Well, again, do you own the books that's on Kindle?
Well, and see, and I've said that I am a physical book in hand gal because my books are never going to disappear. And that's what makes me very leery with having Kindle or Kobo. Now, see, my husband is an ebook reader. Um, and that's partly because just for his hands, it's easier to hold a tablet versus, especially some of like these Wheel of Time ones, they're Tor Mass paperbacks, and they're brutal to
Yeah,
try and read just for the spacing, but even sometimes to hold a book.
yeah.
But yeah, I've heard of people losing a bunch of their books. They're just suddenly gone. And hey, sweetie, that I would just lose my mind. I would lose my mind. But
I've
yeah.
I've never had a Kindle because I don't know what it is about the light here in New Zealand. Every time I've taken to the beach, I can't read it. It's the light
Oh,
is
yeah,
too
yeah.
strong. You can hardly see anything on the screen.
Yeah. No, so now Kat saying download it on your phone. But see, even on your phone, if something happens to your phone, you're pooched.
Mm.
Only freebies for me if I could afford the physical books. One day I'll win the lottery. Well, I hope you win it before my hubby because I'm waiting for 37 years.
It's
The
same with my
little,
dad.
yeah, little man gets mad when I stop petting him to turn a page. Yeah, well, see, little Miss Zena here, and I have several photos that I do with my cat videos and that. But this little monkey, if I'm stretched out, because I sometimes have to in the afternoon, it can only sit for so long. And then she'll plop on me while I'm trying to read. And then she's knocking the book or she's got her head in the front.
Did you know that cats can self-heal? It's to do with the frequency that they do with their purr.
Yep.
They can recognize if you need healing. If
Yeah.
they come onto you and start purring, it's for you.
Yeah. See, I definitely knew that in their healing frequency. And when we had 6 cats, I was actually in less pain
Mm.
because they were all um, little sweet boos. We had Xena, her sister Ghost, and her mom Cedric. Xena and Ghost were born in our basement. Excuse me. We had Morgan, who was our first backyard rescue. We found her when she was a kitten and she could fit in my hand. And then several years later, Cedric, when we brought her in, we found out she was expecting. She had the kittens downstairs. We found homes for 3 of the others, and Xena and Ghost stayed. And then Panther and his brother Shadow are from the feral colony that still lives here, but they were the two that came inside. Others didn't want to. So we had 6 cats, 3 different families, all got along, no fights, no issues, and all purred like maniacs. Um, and then Morgan passed away in 2019 after 14 years with us. Cedric, actually, the next month we found out Ghost had breast cancer. Cedric was already dealing with multiple myeloma. Then in August 2020, we had to say goodbye to Ghost because she'd had 2 surgeries and we had her on healing remedies and the cancer kept coming back. In November of that year, we said goodbye to Cedric. She was in month 40 of remission from her cancer. And then in March of 2021, Panther was only 3.5 years old, and we had to say goodbye to him. Somehow, feline leukemia, even though our kids don't go outside other than a carrier to their appointments, his feline leukemia suddenly kicked in. and we had no idea how because he hadn't been outside. He and Panther, of course, had been tested before they came in. One, because we wanted to be sure everyone was safe, and Cedric was already dealing with cancer. So yeah, the universe was a real asshole for 8 months and just took one, took one, took one. And then thankfully we still had Xena and Panther, and then Tiki joined our family. It'll be 2 months in this coming June. 2 years. 2 months. 2 years. Can't believe it's already been 2 years. But yeah, I totally know. Hi, sweetheart. She just put in her paw and she's purring like a maniac. But yeah, it definitely made a difference when we had a full house of little cats. I mean, we used to have two boys, two dogs, Storm and Wolf, and I loved having them. They were amazing. Bye, sweetie. Oh, look, I can have the chair now. See ya. Um, she's like, mom's stiffening up. She needs a chair. Um, but yeah, I mean, I miss the boys, but dogs are a different energy than cats. And I mean, I love both of them. But yeah, if we were different financially, we'd have more than three cats again. We loved having a house of pitter patter kids. They're
Well,
amazing.
dogs, you'll be their team with cats.
Yeah,
Cats, we don't own cats. They just cohabit with people who do the work for them. We're their servants, aren't we?
exactly. It's so true. Oh, if you forget your Kindle, the books are still on your phone. Okay, so I read at work on mine all the time. That's for Jenny. I think JB doesn't. Aw, pups get snuggly. He chills under the bed when I don't feel good. Bottle fed butthead. JB is a rescue. He's adorable. He's about the size of Gina, if I can gauge on the thing. Um, and so, yes, Kat took him in when he was just a tiny little kitten with gooky eyes and needed a home. And now he's an adult several years later. But, and Kat giving hugs. But yeah, I definitely do miss. Now, do you have any pets, Mark?
No, my wife is asthmatic,
Ah,
and she, especially with long hairs,
yep,
so it just gets her going, and she really does suffer from asthma.
yep,
We're in the season now where, thankfully, although the autumn is a real pain with the pollen,
yep.
where we live it's not so bad.
Oh,
So
that's
we've never
good.
had. We had one once. She grew up with a dog, but interestingly, she didn't realize that it was making it worse until she'd moved away from home to go to nursing.
Ah.
So we've had small pets for the children when they were
Mm.
younger, but never a cat or a dog. And it is a sad thing, but it's for her health, really.
And that's it. And I mean, and that's been the interesting thing because one of the prompts on the dragon tag, I said about dragons and cats. And so the question is, do people have, and the number of people who are allergic is part of the reason why they don't. Some people are cat or dog people. I'm both. I mean, I would
Yeah.
gladly fill up our yard and buy out several neighbors and fill up yards with cats and dogs and give them a home if we could and take care of them all properly. But
There's a
yeah,
joke in my family where if I'm ever out or my daughter, they just find us. There's always cats and dogs coming
yeah,
over. They're almost like magnets to them. Um, there is a reason, I think, why. But certainly around my daughter, they really come in droves. There's a couple of strays that are always coming to say hello.
yeah. We'll see in this feral colony, and I have videos with Lily, Panther's grandmother. Well, we're guessing it's his grandmother. We don't know. It could be Hope, Lily, or Chin. They're all three of the original mums, and their mom, Panther and Shadow's mom, Sheena. We don't know which of the three had the black kitten, which they're all from. Um, But Lily will hang out with me. The other three that are still here, they will come for food and that, but they don't come up to me the same. And Lily didn't for years.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of the bizarre thing with them, but yeah, we still have four because we were involved with trap, neuter, release. So they've all been spayed, and there have been no kittens for a number of years. It was actually December was 3 years that we said goodbye to Panther and Shadow's little sister, Sweet Pea. And she didn't want to come inside. We would gladly have taken her in, but she had no interest. She had another friend outside she wanted to stay with, and he had passed away. And she came up to me all in a dither this one day. It was just before Christmas, and we're like, she's not usual, and the weather wasn't as bad as it certainly had been in the winters here because she was 4 years old. And so then she decided she wanted to stay in, but Panther and Xena wouldn't get anywhere near her. She was in a crate at first, and they wouldn't get anywhere near the crate. And we're like, okay, that's bizarre. But we kept her in a separate room anyhow, got her to the vets. She had all kinds of respiratory issues and other problems. Then, of course, the test came back. She was positive for feline leukemia, and she was just so sick, the little sweetheart. So we were with her to say goodbye. But yeah, it's and then the universe stopped being an asshole for a while. It's been, touch
You can
wood,
do that
because
occasionally.
yeah, touching wood, because Zena's 17 and diabetic and
How do you
asthmatic.
spell the word Xena? Is it with an X?
No, we spell it with a Z.
Oh, so it's not Xenia Warrior Princess.
She
Okay.
is named after the warrior princess,
Right.
actually, but we
Right.
didn't spell it with an X. We spelled
Right.
it with a Z. And see, all our kids have, well, other than Sweet Pea, um, and Shadow, because he was literally my shadow in the backyard, he was more interested in coming in the house than staying out with the feral people. Like, no, I want to be in that house. And the running joke, of course, with my husband is they all use me to be his cats. They're like daddy's kids. So Shadow just used me to get inside to snuggle up with dad.
Right. Right.
But Shadow brought in Panther, who was my little guy, and he wasn't too keen on humans. It took him the longest time to, and he still won't lay on you or jump up on the furniture, but he wants attention galore. But it's you reach me here on the floor or somewhere else type of thing. Tiki, of course, got my attention, and it's like the most bizarre story. We were in PetSmart, and I don't always go in. Sometimes the hubby just goes to pick their things up. I happen to go in this day. I'm a couple rows over. We're looking for the cat food, and I can hear this cat meowing, and I'm like, that's bizarre. Like they have puppy training and stuff, but the cats aren't out loose. And then we're in the line, and I see these, and there's a pet adoption thing there as well. And I see these people coming, and they're humming and hawing, and I'm like, I have to go over there. And I normally don't go anywhere near pet adoption anything because I don't go in pet stores. Like it just is not good. And so, sure enough, here's Tiki right up at the glass, and there were a couple other kittens, and we're looking at Tiki. And the funny thing is you could see her little mouth moving, but you couldn't hear her meowing.
Oh.
And I'm looking at my husband like, how did I hear a cat a couple rows over, and we're standing right here, and I can't hear? So we hummed and hawed, and he was mentioning about, he misses the pitter patter of extra little kitty feet and this and that. And so we brought her home. And it was hilarious because we brought her home. We had a separate room because we wanted to, let her have a few days, adjust, and let Xena and Panther get used to a new cat being in the house because it had been several months since we said goodbye to Shadow. and actually a couple of years by that point. And we took her downstairs, and there was just like a little bit of a gap between the door and the floor, not enough that they'd get through or anything. So Tiki was settled. She had her food, her kibbles. We spent some time with her and then came out. Well, Panther knew she was there, and he literally spent the whole time, like hours, just outside her door. And there were little feet reaching underneath, like, I know you're there. And he was still there the next morning. Like, he came up to eat, get some water, and then he was right back down at the door. We're like, okay, this is bizarre. And he wasn't aggressive or anything. He was just waiting for her to come out. So the next morning, we're like, should we give this a try? Like, she's sticking her paws under here. He's just laying there. He knows. And so we opened up the door, and she came out, and she looked, and she's like, "Whoa, dude, you're huge." Because she was only 7 months old. She was still a bit of a peewee. And then they've been buddies ever since.
Cool.
I mean, it wasn't even a full 24 hours that she was in the room separate, because she and Panther were having none of that nonsense. It's like, just open the damn door already. Like, oh, Zoe's.
Zoe's off. Thank you, Zoe.
Yeah, thanks, Zoe. Thanks so much for the wonderful conversation. Very much enjoyed. Glad you could hang out with us. And so that Cat wouldn't tell folks I won the lottery, but there'd be signs. Yeah, and Cat.
Well, I noticed beaver.
Oh, Cat would have
dog, horse, goat, otter, and beaver.
Cat, anything with fur, she wants to pet it. She doesn't care if it's a wolf or a cheetah or anything. A bear. She wants to pet. She wants to be friends with all the animals.
There's a thing around here, and I don't know whether you have it
Thanks,
where
Zoe.
you are. Thank you, Zoe. So there's a big movement to crossbreed oodles. So you get spoodle and labradoodle. They're all poodles.
Yeah.
They'll shag anything. I don't know. What is it? What is this thing all of a sudden? All these oodles everywhere. And it's like you see them going out for walks. Someone's having a fine time. That's all I know.
Well, and that's it. Like all these different breeds and the smaller dogs and snickerdoodles, and I don't know all the different names they have. It's like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, Cat cracks me up because I live in the city, but we have a ton of birds, even with the feral cat colony, because they're all spayed, so they don't hunt the same now. And I feed them, and a neighbor had been feeding them. I think he still is. He actually is the one who started feeding all of them. I started feeding them to bring them up from the bird feeders. Like, look, there's kibbles and moist food here. You eat this instead of my birds. But so we have birds, we have squirrels, we have skunks, we have raccoons, we have a possum. We probably have things I haven't seen. Oh, we have rabbits. So I have all these things, and I have different videos of them, excuse me, being close to me in that. And Cat's always like, I want to pet them. No, Cat. Oh, groundhogs. In the summertime, we have the groundhogs, and she's like, I want to pet them. I want to pet them. I'm like, no, they're wild animals. No pet. I don't even.
No bears, hopefully.
What's that?
No bears, hopefully.
No bears in my area. A little too far southwest for that. But we do have coyotes. I've seen them come down the street now and again, but it's been a while. But we have coyotes, we have wolves, but they're more, well, they used to be farther out in the country. But of course, as the farms get taken over and the subdivisions keep going and going, they're coming farther and farther into the city because, of course, their habitat's being taken over.
I'm just I'm just keeping an eye on the results as they're coming
Yes,
in.
I was going to say. So, can you tell us the answer, Mark?
So give me a rundown on the colours. Which is red and which is blue?
Red is Carney, the Liberals,
Right.
and blue is the Conservatives, Pellevé or something like that.
So currently, Prince Edward Island, it's all red. Nova
Liberal,
Scotia is predominantly red, and
liberal.
same with Newfoundland, New Brunswick. But I'm looking at central Newfoundland. They say it's the new vast Atlantic riding.
Hmm.
There's only 55% in, but currently the CPC is ahead by 59.7%. But that doesn't mean anything. So
Hmm.
judging by what's here, it looks like it's red across the board at the moment.
Now, what about Quebec and Ontario? Do they have any results for them yet?
Not at the moment.
Because see, Ontario is going to be the decisive one because we have 14 million people here.
Hmm.
So we have the largest population of most of the provinces put together. Because we have 40, I think the last number was 40 million. And I'm not taking a jab at the Americans, but we have 1 million Americans up here. So 39 million Canadians. Although actually, some of the Americans are even dual citizenship at this point. So you can't even say that it's all a million Americans, but we are getting more American immigrants than we've had in eons.
Yeah, same here. A lot are moving down now. I guess
Yep.
it's just some. I mean, we are a nomad people, are we not? People. I mean, I emigrated, so it happens, and I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a thing moving forward.
Yeah, I know there's been a few people on YouTube, just little snippets or either little sound bites in the news um, about, a lot of these Americans are like, I can finally say I've been approved. I'm out of here in weeks or months and moving to Canada. And I'm thinking, I get the move, but that means we got competition for jobs.
Well,
Just saying.
it'll be interesting to see what happens, and like as we said off air, a lot of it is already depending on what you believe. It's all in the
Yep.
Akashic records and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Well,
let's see what happens.
and I mean, that's all you can really do, right? And as tempting as it is sometimes to have like kind of a rant video or something, or even with this stuff going on with the school board, who happens to be, well, one of the three under investigation happens to be my former employer. And I'm like, oh, I want to do a video so bad. And my husband's like, no.
Mm.
And I'm like, but I've waited so damn long. And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, fine. And then I found a clip of the education minister talking, and I'm like, okay, but I'm putting up a community post because I got to say something about this. Partly because rarely do I have anything positive to say about politicians. And this one actually seems like legit gonna clean things up and hold people accountable.
Mm.
And I'm like, yes,
Mm.
we need more of that.
We also, yeah, I agree with that. We do need people to do that. We also need to hold ourselves accountable because we are the community that they're representing, and
Yes.
often things have happened because we just let them happen as a collective, and often we don't pay attention.
True. And I'm just cat. If they don't want snuggles, why are they so cute and fluffy? Because that's just the way they're made, sweetie. Skunks don't want huggles and snuggles. Although I am grateful I've never been sprayed by them. And now the other day I was sitting out because it was finally lovely and warm. And I was sitting on the edge of my deck. And I don't know if you've seen any of my yard videos, but where I sit on my deck, then there's the bird feeders and other things. And then behind me is usually the cat food and water, and then the stairs up to the house. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like totally zoned out, focused on the plants and the birds and things. And I hear crunch, 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 crunch behind me. And I'm like, okay, I know Lily's gone. And then I turn around and sure enough, there's the skunk not 8 feet behind me. And I'm like, and I guess I'm sitting outside a bit longer because I'm not going to suddenly jump up or stand up and freak him or her out while they're eating. So I just sat there while they finished eating and they went and did their thing. It's all
I'm
good
just
because,
looking at one of your videos taken outside.
oh,
You took some of the looks like squirrels or someone else.
could be a
Oh, there may be
squirrel,
no, there may
groundhog.
be groundhogs. Yeah,
Yeah. And now that the weather is improving, I'll start doing those again and just show the different plants in my yard or the different yard things I'm doing. And Kat also, I think, was it last year you started, Kat? Doing your yard videos. So it's cool because she lives in the Midwest states. I'm up in Southwest Ontario. And so it's always cool. We compare plants and weather. And I'm jealous because right now she can do yard work already. It's nice and warm. And, she can get out and do things. I still have to wait for 3 weeks. Aw, skunks so cute, like little stray kitties. No, honey, they don't. When they turn around and the tail goes up, it's not the same as a kitty tail.
don't get skunks here. We get possums and we get
Mm,
yeah, the I think the most invasive one people don't like are the pikeko birds. They're like little clown birds, big stilted birds, but that's about it. The
mm.
Kia on the South Island is the interesting one because they get attracted to the tourists, but they're big parrots and they'll land on your head and they'll do some
Oh,
damage if you're not
wow.
careful. Yeah, yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
now, do you have the same deadly things as Australia, or are those
No,
exclusive
no.
to?
The deadliest thing is the white tail spider, which is very rare. If an adult got bitten by it, it would just sting. It could probably do some damage to a child. Never come
Mm,
across one. They tend to hang out in wood piles, so just be careful. And the
yeah.
further south you go, on the South Island, they probably don't exist at all.
Hmm,
We do occasionally get a mako shark off the coast. I've never
right.
known of any shark attacks. There's no snakes to worry about. Um, we're very lucky. We effectively
Yeah,
can go anywhere and not worried about the little biters. So,
that's
my,
nice.
but saying that, coming from the UK, they're much like fresh blood. The sandflies in the summer can get you.
Oh,
After a few years, you don't feel them.
yeah. Well, and you have such beautiful scenery. Like when you go, I still need to see your Easter egg video. But yeah, I just love when you do
Rained then.
those. What's that?
It rained then.
Oh
Unbelievable.
no.
Yeah. No, it is a beautiful country. There's a lot to see here. And it's
Yeah.
two distinct islands. So the North Island has a different feel completely to the south. The
Hmm.
big South Island is known as the mainland because it was originally where everybody settled.
Right.
The further north you go, you get into more Maori country, and the further north you get into the subtropics. So anything above Auckland is subtropical. I mean, we're a long country, longer than
Right.
most people think. So from the top of New Zealand to the bottom, if you put it on a map of America, it
Hmm.
would stretch from Massachusetts all the way down to Florida. We're that long, but very
Wow.
thin. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, see the oh, and I mean the color of the water, like when you've showed the beaches and that one walkway where you
Yeah.
had to stop and clean your feet before you go to the next part is amazing. Okay, so Kat did start her yard videos last year. Blue bachelor buttons blooming in garden too. Yay! So yes, it's much warmer for her down there, although our temperatures vary. back and forth. Australia is its own terrifying thing. Most of those animals, even I don't want to cuddle. Okay, now that's saying something because she usually wants to cuddle everything.
Australia can be frightening. I mean,
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
I saw a video and it was, I can never remember his name. He's an actor. He was on holiday back in Australia. He'd been filming, and he was
Mm.
in top of the house. And this kid, you can see the video of about 6, 7 year old, suddenly came in holding a venomous snake.
Oh,
they
my
all they all had
gosh.
to rush and get it off him and throw it out. They often, when you go and turn the car on in Queensland, you got to be careful that the snake hasn't gone around the engine. They're attracted to warmth, dark
Yeah.
places. No way would I forget that.
Yeah, see, and I can't remember where Philip is.
I think it's in. We did say Victoria, New South Wales is down. I can see it on the map, but I wouldn't know the name.
Mm,
Blue Mountains. I think it's in the Blue Mountains,
would be
which
cool.
are beautiful. I mean, Australia is a beautiful country.
Well, that's it. Is there's, I mean, there's so many gorgeous things there as well. But yeah, again, same, right? And this is what gets me sometimes when people will go on holidays somewhere and then they're, oh, I want to go live there,
It's different.
but
It's not
you're
like when you're on holiday.
visiting.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's it. It's very different to be there as a tourist and check out a few things
Hmm.
versus being there year round, experience all the weather and what are the jobs like, what are the laws and everything else like. It can be very different. Okay, Cat saying, yes, kangaroos, snakes, spiders, new. They have a full on spider season. Guys are kind of hot though. Ah, you and your eye candy. There's eye candy everywhere, Cat. You just
Going
have
to the
to find
average
it.
pub in the wilds, you might say differently. But you're right about places that you visit on holiday. I mean, remember going to the Seychelles, and Beauval Beach is one of the best in the world. It's absolutely stunning, but you wouldn't want to live there. I mean, it's like no, you'd struggle to go to your local dairy as we do here to get your milk and your
Mm.
flat white coffee. So certain places look great to visit and film, but when you turn the camera around and you see reality, it's completely different.
And that's it. And I mean, sometimes I think people do tend to forget that, and especially when they're watching some of the different videos and people are like, "Ooh, look at this." And you're like, "Yeah, that's gorgeous." Hmm. What do they
Mm,
have in the grocery stores?
mm,
Like, and that's the other amazing thing and beauty of being able to talk to people from around the world. And I still laugh, and I actually have to do a video or just send her an email. Luna is from Norway, the Cottage Goth Library, and we were chit chatting the one time, and I can't, so it had to be around the fall, and I was mentioning pumpkin spice and saying, I really enjoyed the flavor and it was great. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" Because they don't have pumpkins and they certainly don't have
yeah,
anything called pumpkin spice.
yeah,
And I'm
that's right.
like, "Well, I have a tin of it. I'll actually have to
Yeah,
go and sometime write down what is in pumpkin spice because to me, it's just, I grew up with it. That's a
yeah,
fall flavor." And she's like, "Pumpkin what?"
yeah. That was the
'Cause-
thing about the Navy. You get to see a lot of foreign places, and you realise that it's not the same that you have
Mm.
in home. And I remember Norway. I went to Stavanger a couple of times. Beautiful place. The beer is so expensive. We made a mistake not asking the price of beers. There was five of us. We were all racked up, and it literally paid all the money we had for the whole night went in one round. I thought,
Oh
right, okay,
my.
enjoy this one. We're going back to the ship. It was just unbelievable. So
Oh.
that's deliberate. They brought that in supposedly in the 70s to cut down drink driving. They made beer prices so exorbitant.
Uh,
Good luck. It is ruinously expensive.
I think Cat, pretty sure this is US. South is stunning. It's humid. and has humans that, well, shall remain nameless. Not a pumpkin fan. Love the spice palette, which is similar to what I use for sweet potatoes. Yeah, we were chatting about that the other day because you can make biscuits and things with sweet potatoes, and they
Yeah.
have a lovely flavor as well. It's I find it milder than pumpkin, and
Yeah.
I'm a pumpkin fan. I love pumpkin pie, whipped cream. My husband does not, so needless to say, I don't get pumpkin pie because that's way more pie than I need to eat in a week.
When I was growing up in the UK, we never had certain foods like Brussels sprouts, forget it. Pumpkins, beetroot, unless it was in a tin, no. You come here, and I've come to love pumpkins,
Mm,
beetroot, Brussels sprouts. They seem to be bigger. Sweet potato, kumara, as they call it here, taro, and
yeah.
it's fantastic. Never had them in the UK, but it becomes obviously you eat what's local, and
Yeah.
they give you portions here that even now I can't get over, especially on the South Island because it's mainly arable, big open range country. If you go down to places like Christchurch and Dunedin and order a steak, they're
Oh my.
massive. It's like, really? Really good price. So the food in New Zealand, apart from the COVID years, is
Hmm.
fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh
But you
wow.
don't come here to lose weight.
Yeah. The cat saying, just eat a slice a day. It's what I do with all the sweets the other human is broken. He has no sweet tooth.
Where are you, Kat? Where in America? Can you say? You say the Midwest?
Yeah, Midwest.
I'm just
She's
interested to know.
originally from the South. She's Kat, did you say you've lived in 6 states? See, what boggles my mind, and it seems to be typical for many of the Americans that I've met, and there have been a number of lovely, lovely people in the past year and a bit, but they all move like crazy.
Yeah,
Like they've been in
yeah.
I don't know how many states, and I get the states are small, but oh,
Georgia.
there we go. In the Midwest, but grew up in Georgia.
I had a surreal conversation with a guy. He does a YouTube channel, Must Read More, and he's read a book, Deliverance, which is obviously set in
Oh,
Georgia.
yeah, I
And
just, saw that. Yeah, oh,
well, that
go ahead.
book, I saw the film. I'll make
Yeah,
you squeal like a pig.
yes, see, there's the image I just had as soon as you
Diddling, ding,
said
ding, 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 ding,
deliverance.
ding. Well, my dad said because the director of that movie is British.
Mm,
He also did Excalibur, and my dad said, now there's a town coming up called Aintree. And my dad always told me, well, it's because he's British and it's named after the race course in Liverpool called Aintree, where they have the Grand National. It's one of the great races in the UK calendar. And I was
okay.
convinced, well, it must be because of John Borman, then, who directed it. But John on Must Read More said, no, no, it's spelled slightly different, and it is Aintree. It's a made up town. And I thought, okay. I had this slight. So my dad got it wrong then, but there you go. But Georgia and the wild, and it was filmed in Georgia. How wild
Mm,
some of that country is. It's amazing.
yeah, but no, I remember, and actually, it was when I was working at one of the houses, and I remember the guys were watching Deliverance. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to do log notes. You guys can watch your piggy squealing thing. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's a gruesome movie in a way.
Oh, well, and I think part of it with that, because I love horror movies as well as books. And I remember I used to watch Elvira on Saturday nights, the, cheesy B movies, which were
Yeah,
hilarious.
with the
And
streak, the melon streak. Yeah,
and there was other ones. It probably wasn't on Elvira, but I remember watching some other ones, and there was this one, The Hills Have Eyes or something, and it was
yeah.
just this freaking, outback people and a family who were taking their RV across a road they should never have been on, and needless to say, it doesn't go well for any of them. And yeah, so then when I think of Deliverance, I think of that family. And there was an episode in the X-Files that was just as creepy. It was like this weird family where the mom was
Oh.
reproducing with the kids and it didn't go well. And it was just like, whoa, yuck. Again, that, I didn't need that in my wheelhouse or perspective. I was like, I was good not knowing any of that.
Of
Oh,
course,
here's
the
a
interesting thing about the X Files, it was filmed in Canada.
yeah, Vancouver.
Yeah,
So
they
was
had
Supernatural
yes, that's right. The two
for
boys.
15 years.
They it kind of shows when you know that, because I always thought they never go to the desert country or the Midwest, the plains. They had one fantastic setup. It was the guy who was after liver, and he would hide for 30 odd years, and then you come back and he could stretch himself. That freaked me out. That one. That was in the first
Mm.
series, about the third program. Really well done.
Now, is that X-Files?
X Files, yeah.
Yeah, and see, I
And with
watched.
Supernatural, that was good as well. The pilot one was very good as well.
Mm.
Quite scary.
Yeah, and they were actually going to be done the first year, but the fans said no, and then they kept going for 15 years.
I know, it's amazing.
It is. So Kat was saying she's been to Virginia, Georgia, California, New Mexico, have a kind of place, adoptive-ish parents in North Carolina before moving to my current house. So, wow. She'd been all over the place. Stay out of the small towns in the south, especially if you have a deep tan. Yeah, very Deliverance.
Yeah,
Sadly.
Kiwis are great movers around. They even within New Zealand, a lot of people are
Really?
always, yeah, they're obviously always on the move, and a lot of it may come back from traditional Maori culture. You don't stay in one place, but yeah, I've known people economic vagrants. They go from town to town to get jobs.
Mm.
This if there's one issue in New Zealand, it's housing, and
Um,
there's just not enough, especially in Auckland. It's almost like they're now rushing to put up little boat sheds that they call houses and then sell them for a vast amount. So the closer you get to Auckland, the less palatable it is when it comes to housing. When we
uh,
moved to New Zealand in the Bay of Islands, you could get a huge acreage and a house and a swimming pool, but those days are fast gone, if not already.
well, see, and Ven was mentioning too that's quite a problem in the United Kingdom is the housing. They've taken a bunch down, but
Mm,
not put up enough, so they have all the people not having places there. It's a problem here in Canada, in terms of cost, people losing jobs. It's insane. Here, houses can start at $500,000 and it's not even a fancy ass house.
yeah. Yeah, we're living
It's just
too long, Elaine. We're living too long, and we're snarling up the accommodation for people. But
I'd
there's
leave, but my stupid guardian angel keeps insisting. No, it keeps jumping right in there. And,
yeah,
I was saying, I think it was on my birthday live. I was saying, for the longest time, up until this past year, I haven't celebrated my birthday in a while. And my husband and I had a huge argument a few years ago. And I'm like, get it through your head. I do not want this day to be recognized for a number of reasons. There had been years where it was horrific. My grandmother's birthday was the day after mine, so that was just always a memory of okay, the next day she's not here because she passed away when I was 18. And then of course when my dad passed and I was only 34, there was another phone call that didn't come on that day. And it's like I'm just done with this shit. Like it's not that I cared how old I was getting, I just didn't need to celebrate the day.
mm,
And so then this year I thought, well, for shits and giggles, I'll do a live stream. And Ven and Dee Dee, another booktuber, also have birthdays in January. So we all just celebrated through the live stream. But I was saying, my guardian angel, I know he's put in so many transfer requests, like so many, because from being a kid and all the stuff to up to now. And I'm like, dude had his chance. When I would turned 50, I spent that sitting in a room for hours with a teacher on a code red, like woohoo. Won't, oh no, 51, pardon me. 50 was when someone insisted coming out to celebrate and spent the whole time sitting there about how sick they were, but they didn't want to miss the time. I'm thinking, I wish you'd have stayed home, but whatever. You know, they felt good because they didn't miss the event. Then 51, sitting in a room for 2 hours, code red, because a teacher didn't ask the right questions, and we had the SWAT team going through the school because of a cap gun. Not a real gun, a cap gun.
Hmm.
Woohoo! We'll never forget turning 51. 52, heading home, and the way the road came, it went this way and then this way, and there were buildings right here, so you couldn't really see what was coming. And I had to stop for the lights. And normally, when the light turns green, you just get going. I mean, slowly, because, like I say, you couldn't see. Well, this particular day, for some reason, I'd hesitated a few extra seconds. And doesn't someone come flying right by full speed? No clue they were running a red light. So, had I been in my normal spot, I'd have been done like dinner because they would have T-boned me right into the
Yeah.
driver's
Well, you
door.
do have protection then.
I'm like, you better stop bitching about still having to watch over me because seriously, you've had your chances, but no.
Yeah.
Always right there making sure.
Well, you're here for a reason, as we all have specific reasons, I think.
I think so. I just every now and again are like, why? California was taking care of my ex-moms, went to school, New Mexico, there we go. Midwest was for work. COVID put an end to that. Yeah. Just haven't been able to get a job in my field again, which is, yes, a stinker. And that makes it hard too. Oh, we love you and want to celebrate. Well, thank you. We definitely had a fun. The birthday curse has finally been broken, so we'll we'll celebrate again. We had cheesecake and chit chats, and but yeah, and I do agree, Mark. I mean, as frustrated as I get for still being here, not just because it screwed up my finances, but it's why, what am I doing? I'm not full-time work, it whatever, but I'm here for the kids and YouTube, the people who I've been connecting with, and there's more and more kindreds and more conversations and discussions. So, and no, I'm not it's all about money, because I learned that early on in life. Whenever I've taken a job for money or looked at a promotion for money, it has never, ever gone well.
Yeah.
So no, I'm not money motivated. I live simply, which is good, means I can go crazy with books and things. Not all the time, but I can have fun now and again. And yeah, to me it is. And I mean, the thing as well with Reiki, and your daughter would know this, is you can't bring your ego into Reiki.
No.
If you're thinking you're the one doing the healing, then you should probably stop, because you're
Yeah.
not. You're
Yeah.
you're the
You're
channel.
channeling. You're channeling.
Yeah, you channel, you direct the energy, but it is not you doing any of that. It's the individual that you're sending it to. Like I say, I can get benefit from it, but it isn't as much as others seem to benefit. And I love that you can do it distant, so you don't even have to be in the same room or country.
Yeah, and it's not just hands-on.
Yeah.
Voice opinions could be healing. Your
Yep.
role may be to bring a community together, like ginger bibliophile says that obviously you
Cat,
need
yeah.
it. So that's why you're here, and
Oh.
it's the voice. It's
Mm,
how you put across to the world, despite what's happening, what your openness and your friendliness. That's like a beacon that people will be attracted to listen to.
mm,
That's why you and others are seated here to do this. It's and you're right. Whereas a Reiki healer will channel to unblock energy, just being in a room for some
mm.
people is that they're doing exactly the same, and potentially that's yourself.
Well, thank you. That's nice. And thank you, Kat. And I mean, Mark, you're the same when you're talking about your books and sharing your experiences. And I think, I mean, I've been very blessed because in the 3 years I've been doing this, I don't think I've had a single person I could call a troll. I mean, when I did the one book banning video and I had DeSantis up there, there were a couple people who didn't agree, but they were mature. You know,
Mm.
we had a mature conversation about it. It wasn't, gnarly people and people that I have connected with. And now I have some people I do virtual tea with because the lovely thing is on StreamYard, if you do record, you can invite people, but you don't have to record that conversation. Just have a conversation, do tea, what have you.
Yeah.
And I've made so many amazing connections since I found this booktube community. I mean, I'd been on for 2 years before. There were a few individuals I had met, but nothing even close to the connections and bonding that have happened through booktube, whether it's talking to people through emails or on Voxer or this format with live streams. It really seems to be taking off in a good way. And I mean, I've talked to my husband back and forth of, well, maybe I should focus more on trying to find some kind of a job and upping my income. And then I'm thinking, I have 100+ people who follow this channel. That's way more than I had ever expressed an interest in coming for Reiki or reflexology. And I have fun doing this.
Mm.
And I mean,
Well, it's a healing process as well. Just the ability that what we're doing is like a healing talk, isn't it?
mm,
Because you can express ideas that you normally wouldn't, and that's the benefit. What you've set yourself. This is what we're going to be talking about. People come and
mm,
listen. It's not you couldn't go down to your local supermarket and do that. So we have this outlet, and that's what's so good about it. And it's also brave enough, which a lot of people would be afraid to say the things that has been talked about today.
mm,
That's the
true.
dark night of the soul. You think,
Yeah,
no, how many weeks have I got left? I'm not going to ignore it anymore. This is what I'm talking about. And then it's down for others to find.
yeah.
And the universe will generally, like attracts like. And I guess
Hmm.
over time, for us, it's slow, but divine timing says, no, your community will arrive because they'll be ready to hear it.
Yeah.
They may hear it and disappear. I've often noticed when I say certain things to air, I may drop down a subscriber, but then two
Mm,
will come back later. It doesn't matter. It's this exchange of energy, and your
yeah.
voice and how you express it is the healing element.
Mm. That's nice. I hope so. And I mean, it also amazes me when some of us, because I still am not close. Well, I'm getting closer now to 500 than I was, but I did my community post, and I mean, because I have a sarcastic sense of humor, I had a
But you have a
poll.
sense of humor.
Yeah, I do. But I did a post or a poll of which video will I make first? 250 unsubscribers or 500 subscribers? Because I've already done my 150 thank you unsubscribers.
Does it tell
And
you that somewhere on YouTube? Does that tell you how
yeah,
many?
in your studio.
Oh,
Did
right, okay.
nobody watch my analytics
I did,
video?
but I didn't pick up on that. How do you do that? You're gonna have to show me how to do it. I'm gonna have to look at it again then.
I
It's not
can
that.
tell you. if you want, if you're in your studio. Um, and I'm
Okay,
good. Okay, are you on iMac or Microsoft?
iMac.
Okay, because it's a little different in both. But you go into your iMac, you're in your
Studio.
studio,
Yeah,
go to analytics.
yeah.
Okay, then do you see where it gives you the choice for the days or lifetime?
Is that the advanced mode or at the top right?
Nope, don't go to advanced mode yet. Right below advanced mode, it gives you the choice of the time frame you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, pick lifetime
Okay,
and then go up to advanced mode and click on that.
yeah.
And then along the top bar, you'll see it's subscription. You want,
Status.
nope, you want the drop down arrow and you want subscription source.
The drop down arrow.
Yeah, it should say more by subscription status.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so once you see more, click on that. Then there's subscription source.
Yeah.
Click on that. And then down below should show you the number of subscribers you have, the total number you've ever had, and the number who have unsubscribed. Should be 3 columns down in the bottom.
Yes. Oh, yeah, I see.
Yep.
Right, okay.
So, yeah. And so a while back, and I did the 150 thank you, not as in a sarcastic, snarky way, but in a sincere thank you, because my content isn't for you, and you not hanging around means you're not skewing my analytics of people aren't interested. The people who are staying are interested. And I actually got that from someone on StreamYard doing a video of, people keep talking about subs, but they don't realize that sometimes people leaving is a good thing because, they're not there for your content. And so
Yeah.
when you're deciding what you want to do or how you want to do it or how you want to improve it, you want to focus on the people who are sticking around and coming back to watch the videos, not stressing about the people who left because they're not the ones you're making content for anyway.
Mm.
And so then it was funny. The universe has been having a fun time with me because after I put out that poll, I'm now holding at 208 unsubscribers, but my sub count's going up and getting closer to 500 quicker than I'm losing people. So unless I go off the rails and do like a really stupid video about Captain Makeup, or decide to wear my makeup, and I don't typically wear makeup, but if I decide to put makeup on and leave a nice line and do my whole video sideways going, why is this a problem? There's a guy running a country who puts his makeup on like this, and it's nobody's asking him what the hell's wrong with you.
Yeah.
He can ask somebody else, do you own a suit? And that doesn't seem to be a problem for anybody else. No one's laughing going, hey, dude, I can see your pasty skin there just before your hairline, but I'm not going to be that bad girl.
It's fascinating. I didn't know that. So thank you very much for that, Elaine. That's
Hey,
wonderful.
you're welcome.
I've lost 85.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah,
And I mean,
85.
yeah. And like anything, you can, like I say, I don't pay that much attention to analytics anymore. I used to. And then a few months ago, everything nosedived with returning viewers and everything. And I'm like, you know what? This is not helping my happy place. Let's make a video mode. And so I've actually stopped writing any of that stuff down. I had a little chart that I was tracking from October to, I guess, February. And then I'm like, No, that this isn't helping. I've never been a number cruncher.
Yeah.
And I still, the more, to me, the most important number is the returning viewers. And
Mm.
as long as I have people returning, that's all I need. I have yet to figure out how to generate more comments from a video. I ask questions or what have you, but I'm okay with even that being where it is because, like I say, there's more and more connections that go beyond that whole comment under a video. And to me, that's the big part is being able to have conversations like this about either books or deep
Yeah.
subjects that are
Yeah.
enjoyable.
I mean, I look at it this way. Do you
Oh,
want fans or do you want thinkers?
well, exactly. Take care, Kat. Glad you could enjoy us. Enjoy us. Enjoy the
Bye, Cap. Yeah, bye.
conversation.
And
Take care,
it's like
sweetie.
it's like when you create something.
Yeah.
If you choose to be original, this is
Mm.
someone's quote. If you choose to be original, expect not to be heard, because the herd choose not to be original.
Hmm. It's an
And
excellent
for
point.
my point of view is I choose to be original because otherwise it's rinse and repeat. Um,
Yep.
there's already people doing that, so I think there's a need for people such as yourself, and slowly you'll tick up because people will gravitate, but you're not going to get like millions of views overnight. But then again, I saw a video you don't want to because they won't come back. In fact, there was a guy called Justin Neely, and he had a rant about last October. He'd been going at that stage 9 months.
Hmm.
He said I did a rant about a book and it got a shed load of views. It convinced him, oh, I've arrived, I'm doing well, and but then they never came back.
Yeah, of course.
And he said, this is not what should be happening. This is not what I want. So he said, in a way, I'm on BookTube, but I'm not going to be part of BookTube. I'm not going to do all the I hate this book and all that. And I thought, good for him.
Well,
He's made a
exactly.
decision to be original and just quietly chug away.
Well, and it's actually funny, and Jenny's gone, but she'd know the channel. Excuse me. And all this individual does is literally rant about books. And they're a huge channel, tons of views, tons of comments. And I had watched one because I'm not a fan of Fourth Wing. It's just never going to happen. As much as I love dragons, that book, up until the last 130 pages, was not about dragons. So it immensely irritated me. And, I shared that and I shared why in a video, but it wasn't a rant. It's just, look, I'm not interested in spice. There was too much. I didn't care Violet wanted to climb Zayden every which way. I just didn't need to know that. I wanted a book and a story about dragons. And so it was a relatively short video. Well, this other channel had a 5-hour rant. 5 hours. I'm like, how, I mean, I can babble about nothing and probably 5 hours, but not rant about. I can't even babble that long about Akatar, and it's 5 frickin' books, not one. And yet people are raving below
Oh, yeah, no, no.
this, and I didn't watch all 5 hours because I'd lost
Yeah.
interest after 20 minutes. But I'm like, what the hell? And
I
I'm
don't.
like,
I don't get it.
no.
I don't get it. It's like, imagine, in my mind, a common thing is, imagine we are looking at a concert and it's John Williams doing his hits over the years,
Mm,
and then the camera goes to the audience and there's a guy there sitting there looking there filming himself reacting, and the hit count's bigger watching him reacting than watching John Williams. I'm thinking there's something wrong there. How these reactors who just sit there and often get millions of views, it's like,
yeah.
What are we watching here? I don't get it.
And that's it. Sometimes, and I mean, there's different. Well, speaking of don't get it, and I hadn't caught this before and just clued in. There's actually an American, he has 3 channels. I'm sure all of them are monetized because I think he has triple digit thousand subs on all 3. Do you know what his content is? Reaction videos.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now, the first one, which is how I found out about him a while ago, is American reacts to Canadian whatever. It's all Canadian videos that he reacts to, which makes me laugh because it's mostly Canadians in the comments. I'm like, buddy, your own people aren't watching you, but whatever. So that's how I found out about him, is because, and he starts out, I'm just a typical average American guy learning about Canada, blah, blah, blah. So that's one channel. I've just recently found out he has 2 others with different last names, and they're exactly the same type of thing. It's just him watching a video, reacting to it. So I think some has to do with different things around the world. And I can't even remember what his 3rd channel is, but it is literally nothing but him sitting at his computer, watching a video, and talking throughout the video to make it his own content. But he doesn't actually produce or make anything original.
Pane et circus. Bread and circuses. It's just the entertainment for the masses. The Romans knew about it. They didn't understand it. They just gave them what they wanted.
Well, like I say, this guy's got 3 channels. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if at this point he just does that full time, is sit and watch and stop and pause videos at a certain point to talk about things.
Well, at least I mean, there's one is a guy, he's cooking, and next to him someone is playing on an old deck music, and he'll have someone different playing different types of music, records. They don't talk to the camera. He doesn't even show you what he's cooking. He doesn't hold it up and show you what he's made, and it's like he's getting millions of hits. So I guess it's the formula. We've got to come up with something. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a new channel where I'm just reacting. I reckon it'll go viral.
I was going to say, I want you to make that video just for giggles because I want to see what happens.
All right, then. I'll write that down.
Well, okay. And I mean, the others, because I know there are some people who vlog and they'll show you reading, and they're just literally sitting and reading their book, flipping the pages, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I reckon it's the way, Lorraine. I reckon I've got to do this, though.
Oh.
Because they like, you got to get people's attention. I think you've hit on the new thing. I'm going to start doing. That's going to be one of the next videos I do now. I think you should do the same.
I can't.
What can I call it? Dragon reading.
I was being risque enough with my onesie belly dance and shimmy moves.
Exactly. Ultimately, though, that's what it is.
Mind you, that was fun because, my eyes. Speaking of allergies and spring season, my little pollen eyeballs. It still blows my mind, though, that not only am I sitting here in the late evening now with summer around the corner, but you have the fall and you're just coming up to lunch.
It's 1:20. I'll have to wrap up in a minute as well.
Yeah.
I've got to go and get some food before the wife comes back.
Oh,
But yeah, and it's quite grey out there. It's not
aw.
the best of weather. We have been cyclonic now for
Mm.
some time. This slow moving cyclone clipped the north, and that's
Ooh.
when I filmed going around the Easter hunt. It was a lot of rain.
Oh gosh.
I remember Christopher Lee when he was making of Lord of the Rings. He played Saruman, and
Ah, yeah, yeah.
he was talking to camera, and he said, "You know the thing about New Zealand, when it rains, and it does. It's like it comes down at a
Oh,
level. It's amazing." But then that's life in the subtropics for you. So it's great. It
exactly.
keeps everything green.
Yep. Nice and lush and
That's
well,
right.
better than here where we had so much snow, which was insane even for here. Like we're used to snow, but this was nuts.
Yeah.
And I actually had my husband take pictures of me because I'm literally a foot and a half taller than normal standing on the snow in my yard. Now I have to get him to take the pictures of exactly where I was in the winter and put that up as a video with the pictures side by side so you can see the difference of how much snow we had because it's absolutely mind blowing. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this has been such a treat. We didn't get to very many books, though.
I did. I made an effort, Elaine. I've brought
Yeah.
at least a couple of three books out here.
Okay, I put up the
Another
great.
one. You know, there's another one.
I put up the Great Hunt.
Look at all the books.
Hey, look, I have
Yes,
them here.
exactly. They're in the
I have
background.
them.
They're just not
I have
taking
them
active
there.
part. Or Sodom. We'll get to them in due time. What more do they want?
We'll see. And the funny thing is, when I first started doing this with guests, I actually had a list of 10 questions because, of course, it was,
How did
well,
that go?
you, I think I've done them with one person because, of course, when I had people on, it wasn't people I'd ever met before. I had no idea how the conversation would go. I knew we'd be
Mm,
talking about books and things.
yeah.
And so I had this list of questions in case, it wasn't a smooth flowing conversation. And then I'd at least have questions to ask. And yeah, I've done it once out of all, and I don't know how many lives I've had with guests now. With Ven and I, it's just become a running joke because I think he's been on 3 times
Yeah, he's
and
been on a
we've
couple of
yet,
three times, hasn't he? Yeah,
yeah, and we've yet to finish the questions once through.
The
Um,
best laid plans of mice and men.
well, and I kind of just because as I'm chatting with people, I mean, I ask about people's channels. I didn't ask you about the name of your channel though, which is one of the other, but we always end up getting to. But yeah, why book ramble?
Well, it was already taken. There is another channel, a Mexican lady called Book-ramble, which is why I have the hyphen, because it's the only way I can get
Oh,
it. I went through, when you set up your title, I was trying book thing, didn't I? It's already taken.
yeah, yeah.
About an hour in, I thought, oh, come on, give us something. So I thought, okay, let's go another route by putting in a few hyphens, and Book-ramble came up. And as soon as it happened, I thought, that's it, that's the one.
Hmm. See, and
But unknowingly, and again, I didn't foresee that I would be doing rambles around, filming, just going out certain
oh yeah.
visits. But it worked. So,
See, flowed from the name.
and I ramble. I talk on a bit. I talk. I go on and on and on and on. It's like, okay, so it works. So I kept it.
Nice. Well, see, and we've almost been 3:30, and it's so funny because, like I say, I have no idea how people manage to just swing in an hour. I I think even when I'm on by myself, I manage to eke it out to 2 hours of bibble, bibble, bibble. And it was so cute when I had Margaret Pinard on. She's an author, and we have met each other and chit chatted through messages on Voxer, and we met through different lives. And it was funny when I'd asked her to come on and that, and she goes, I know, be prepared for more than an hour because she's come into some of my live streams and or she's
Absolutely.
team rewatch and she's like, yeah, it's never an hour with you. And I'm like, I try.
Well, some things take time.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is, I always think it when I'm talking a long time, it's a slow moving, boring process, but I'm enjoying it. Just come along with me. I'll let you know when I'm finished.
Well, and that's it. And I figure, you know what? I've got viewers. Viewers are interactive, either chatting together in the chat or asking questions and sharing comments with the
Mm,
conversation. And to me, again, that's what it's about. It's those connections and people
yeah.
being welcoming and having a good time. And it's like sitting in a living room. And granted, we only see two people here, but it's like everybody's here with us, is the sense that I get when I do my lives anyhow. And it's funny, I've had a few people say their team rewatch. I actually had a guest come on and they were so excited that I asked them, and they'd actually watched some of my live streams before, and they're like, I love it and I wanted to be on yours because you don't do it like other people. You don't have like your
Yeah.
X, which I have my questions, but it's just never become part of the live stream. It's just kind of, hey, let's chat, and off we go to the races.
Well, thank you for reaching out and asking me. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. So,
Me
and
too.
also those that were here asking questions. I mean, the people in the UK, they did really well. They stayed up late. So,
Yeah.
thank you to them.
All right. So oh,
See,
there we go. We're
that's
going
the.
on. We're going off the air. Thank you to everyone who could join us.
Ta-ta for
And
now.